Hello everybody and welcome to episode 28 of the Grumpy Gaming Weekend podcast. Today is a very special episode. We're doing the very first ever, whatever we're calling it, Grumpy Gaming Awards. That's it, the Grumpy Gaming Awards annually. Yeah, the first one ever.
GGWP Annual Awards.
GGWPAA. Sure, that sounds appropriate. But yeah, we're going to be looking at basically our best games of the year for a number of different categories. There are a lot of rules to it, but Plat, just in case anybody doesn't know you yet, who are you? Introduce yourself. Why are you here?
Hello, I'm PlatinumTrophyWife. I am here to be the beautiful woman who says categories since I barely played any new games this year, so a lot of my answers are jokes. Stay tuned for the laughs.
It's true, every award ceremony does need a glamorous assistant, and I don't think Elliott or I can really fulfill that role, let's be fair.
I'm doing my best.
I'm trying.
Well, yeah, Elliott said he was willing to wear pantyhose, so I feel like that was...
It's not what was said.
It kind of was in the pre-show. I have evidence of it. I could probably get that on the internet somewhere.
I would love to have the evidence shown because then everyone would see that's not what I said.
I feel like,
go back to the ledger. I did not perjure myself.
I feel like it's all about the editing, really, isn't it? But anyway, moving on from the very risque conversation, we are going to be going through a number of different categories. We're going to be talking about games that we think are the best in each category this year. There are a couple of rules to it. These games have to be, apart from Plat is exempt from the rules because she doesn't play new games. She only plays old games because she's a retro gamer. But we are, these games have to be released this year. They cannot be betas. They cannot be early access or any of that kind of stuff. They have to be released in 2019. And for me and Elliott, apart from one, they have to be games that we have played. So, Plat, why don't you kick us off with the first category?
The first category is Best Aesthetic. The first thing you see in your game.
Oh, I like it. That was good. That was very professional. This is almost like we do this every week. Elliott.
Oh, yeah.
Elliott.
Or every year.
I know. It's almost like this is the first of every year. Elliott, kick us off. What is your best
better in
aesthetic?
the future.
Hopefully.
Can I just keep getting worse? First category, I don't know. Just what'd you play?
Whatever.
Well, you gotta get the like Kanye interactions where it's like, I'm gonna let you finish, but like that's where then you get viral.
So my nomination for best aesthetic is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
Interesting one. Interesting.
Because
I was thinking of doing that one.
The first half of the game is a bit like you go around a castle. It's still a lot brighter than like a lot of Dark Souls games, and like the enemy designs are fantastic all the way through. But you get to the second half of that game and it is beautiful. It is so well designed. It's super colorful. Some of the like larger constructs are just amazing. So I'm putting that forward for the look-ins.
It's interesting because I think most people playing that game, like aesthetic is not really what they're there for. So it kind of surprised me. Kind of surprised me as I mean, it shouldn't really because all you play ever is Souls-likes. So it shouldn't really surprise me.
Out of all the Souls game, it is the most beautiful.
We should have basically just made every category like which is the best aesthetic of the Souls-like games, just for Elliott. But no, that's pretty cool. I mean, I saw your streams of it. It looked okay. Although it's kind of hard to tell sometimes across streams, isn't it? Because obviously you've got the like Twitch downscales, everything, and the compression, and then you've got the whole like, you know, if your internet's rubbish, it makes the game look rubbish. But
also, I streamed that game from my PlayStation running through my network online with the PS4 share. So, like, my stream did not do it justice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks fantastic.
I watched a lot of streams playing that game, and like literally, even though I hadn't played it because I'd watched so much of it, I thought I was like, I can say that I've played it. That was like my nominee for best aesthetic was just like because of the enemies. I loved how like beautifully interesting the enemies were.
Wait, was yours also like, Sekiro?
No, but I was thinking of making it Sekiro.
Oh, sorry.
Like that was my answer until I thought of something else.
So you thought of something better than Sekiro. So what is better than Sekiro in aesthetic?
So by far. The better game, the better aesthetic, I won't say game, again, it's just aesthetic, is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay.
And I will tell you why. It is because I really, Elliott, you stop. I really enjoyed being a part of all of the worlds. It was beautiful. It was colorful. It was exciting to discover like the next world that you were going to be in and how Sora changes in every single world. Like, for instance, the Toy Story one, he's a toy. That's a given. But then, like, in Pirates of the Caribbean, they animated him to look a lot more lifelike. So that way he matched the, you know, real life of pirates versus the other cartoony worlds. And I really liked, like, you know, you get your different keyblades and all that jazz. So it was a game that I really enjoyed being in the world of and looking around. And because of my platinuming nature, I had to find all the hidden Mickeys. And so you really got to look around, like, all, like, just even like the landscapes and stuff. Like the Rapunzel world is beautiful. It was my favorite. So that is why Kingdom Hearts 3 has the best.
I really enjoy how in Kingdom Hearts 3 they kept the art style the same, but they improved it a lot. Like, it very much looked like the sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, they kept the art style very, very similar, but then upgraded it massively. There's a big jump. And I think because I hadn't played Kingdom Hearts in such a long time, I went back and actually looked at Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I was like, wow, they look old. Like, they don't look bad, but they look old. And to see it in, like, modern 4K graphics was just really, really good. And
kind of a big jump from PS2 to PS4.
Just a little bit. We never got one on PS3, did we? Not a main title. No. So, yeah.
No. Do you want to talk about the 10-year plus wait on Kingdom Hearts? Do we want to talk about it?
But was it worth it, though? Was it worth the 10 plus year
no.
wait? No.
No.
I haven't finished it. That should tell you something.
That was my big thing, is, like, they waited too long. Like, don't get me wrong. I was still bawling my eyes out at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
No
but
spoilers.
I was still like... No spoilers. Like, it was just, like, the ending of this game. And so I was just, like, crying. And so I was... But they waited too long. It should have been on the PS3 generation.
Yeah, quite possibly. I am having some horrific Discord frame drops, but there we go.
Yeah, I keep
mine's like flickering, but
yeah, never mind. It's the show must go on. So I actually have 2 nominees for best aesthetic. I had to pick 2. I couldn't.
Breaking the rules.
How is that in the rules?
I literally said to you yesterday when we were supposed to record the episode, I said that I had a couple where I had 2 nominees because I needed 2. Okay.
Okay,
so,
you say 2, and Ellie and I will pick the one that is actually your winner.
Well, I have one indie and one AAA, which is why I needed to pick 2, because I feel like the indie did a really good job, whereas they couldn't do the same as the AAA.
Sharing this new rule set with the rest of us.
I told you guys yesterday.
Make us look like assholes who don't care about indie games.
I literally told you yesterday that we had. There's a couple that I have 2 for. Get over it. It's my podcast. All right. So my first nominee is Black Future 88. This is the indie one. So if you haven't seen my video on Black Future 88, just go, even if you're not interested in the game, just go and watch like 5 seconds of the footage just to see the art style. It's pixel art, but like really, really highly detailed and very, very well animated pixel art. And not only that, it has this like weird like 80s vibe. The game is set in 1988. The world has ended. It's kind of like synth punk, they call it. But everything looks like from the 80s. Like the color palette is very, very 80s. They almost took like, you know, the like the old 3D like red and blue glasses. They almost took like that kind of filter and like added it to everything. So everything has this almost like old style 3D effect, and it just looks great. And even though sometimes in that game you have so much going on the screen that it's really hard to keep up, everything just looks beautiful, and I really like it. They did a really, really good job with the aesthetic to that one. And my second nominee for best aesthetic this year is probably going to make you all sigh, Gears of War 5. I played Gears of War 5 with Ruby off stream, and some of the open world parts of that game were stunning. There was 2 that really spring to mind. There was the ice thing that everybody's seen everywhere. And then there was this sort of like desert wasteland. And in the desert wasteland, there was these giant big, I don't know, what you call it, like a sandstorm, I guess? Really big ones with lightning bolts and everything. And it just it looked great. It looked absolutely fantastic. I think, obviously, it's a AAA game, and most AAA games are sold on the graphics these days. But I think it really looked great. And the whole way through playing that game, I was like, this would look great on 4K, because I don't have 4K PC, I only have 1080. I was like, this would look amazing on 4K.
Yeah.
So those are my nominees. Gears of War was a great game, by the way. I just think it looked great.
I played Gears of War 4, and then instantly forgot everything that happened in it. So I saw the start of Gears of War 5, and it does like the recap of 4. And as I was watching it, I went, "Wait, I've completed that game." And I was just like, "Well," because I was a huge fan of Gears of War 3.
I did the same thing. I was like, I think I missed this one. I was like, no, wait, I remember that bit. So I clearly played it, but then forgot that I played it. That's how memorable Gears of War 4 was for me.
Wow, that's interesting.
But yeah, 5 brought it back.
I didn't see much of 5, and like when you were saying about best aesthetic, because like I played a lot of 3, and 3 was just like basically just a constant run through of broken down, overgrown building, broken down, overgrown building. Here's some tunnels.
Yeah.
There's a big worm. Blow it up. Like, so I was kind of surprised when you said 5 because I haven't seen much of it. So I just kind of assumed
5 has these really like gorgeous locations, and even with the ice place, like at the start, you just have this like breathtaking view of the entire place. But then as you like delve deeper and you get into some of the zones, like there was a lot of times where there was just like ice just falling off of cliffs, and that caused like problems in the gameplay that I'm not going to go into. But like it just looked great, and it was really good. I'm glad that not the whole game was in the ice area, because it was like each different area had a very different aesthetic, and all the buildings were very, very different, and there was a lot of like environmental things that were sort of explained in the game that were like people know about these like storms that happen in the desert place. There was these giant sort of like, I don't even know what you call them, but these like giant lightning crystal things that like would zap down and like dig into the earth, and you had to kind of avoid them, but they just look great. I really enjoyed it. And there was this one bit where we were on the skiff and we were like driving around, and we turned around and we saw the sandstorm approaching, and we both just went like, wow, that looks so cool, but also run, but it looks so cool. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed the aesthetic of that one. We were talking about having like an overall winner, but then we decided what was going to happen is that we're all going to just vote for ourselves. So the way that we're going to leave it is we're just going to leave it, these are our winners this year. So we've all got to give our winners. If I had to pick one, I would pick Black Future 88 purely because it's an indie game studio and they don't have the resources that the AAA game studio has. So I'll pick Black Future 88. Gears of War can be my honorable mention. There we go. That is the best aesthetic. Done.
I like how he picked 2, and basically it was because one of them he can like push to another channel, another video he's done.
Yeah.
I see you.
No, I genuinely.
You're just promoting your channel.
I genuinely love
Black Future 88 does look amazing.
Click it right here.
It
reminds me a lot of like Blade Runner, like the color palette and kind of like the the feeling that I got when I saw it was very, very similar. Which I'm a huge fan of the movie.
This is what I'm saying. Like a lot of people accuse pixel art of being potentially lazy. Like it's easier. I don't think that's true. I think pixel art is just people say that.
Getting
people
pixel
say
art to look good is so hard.
Exactly.
Like, if you get pixel art that looks good, it looks like great.
Yeah, exactly. There's a big difference between like lazy pixel art and good pixel art. And not only that I think like pixel art gives you more challenges, and the team actually being able to make it look 80s in pixel art was just great. Like I think they did a really, really good job. And again, go check out my video. But yeah, let's move on to the next category. What is the next category?
Next category.
What is it?
Is best soundtrack.
Oh
wow.
Get a musical.
I like it.
Improv.
Thought
of it right now.
Are we going through same order? Should we just carry on?
You go first.
Well, I can go
first. Pick 2 anyway.
I only have one for this one.
I can go first because I literally couldn't think of anything. So my answer is none of the games had very outstanding soundtracks this year.
Fair enough. I mean,
like,
controversial.
I just couldn't pick one.
Controversial. The crowd has gone very awkwardly silent. They're like, "Oh God, oh no! There's no winner for Plat."
Like all the games that came out this year that I played, like nothing was outstanding. Like I could pick one, but it would have been like I had to pick one. So I figured I wouldn't, because like I want to have like good answers. So
sure, no problem.
So overall, in all of your gaming history, what do you reckon the best soundtrack is for you?
Okay, we'll come back to me then.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
All of my games.
I was just like, is there anything like, because like for me, like Final Fantasy, like Nobuo Uematsu is a genius. Like, and it will always be.
It'd be a
best
toss-up
soundtrack
between Celeste and Last of Us. Have both really,
Celeste
really,
soundtrack was really good.
Last of Us soundtrack was also very, very good. Very emotional.
But I think I would pick
really
Last of Us because Celeste, when I've been playing the B-sides and C-sides, I've turned off the music, even though it's still good because it takes a very long time to get through. I'm just Well, and some of them weren't as good as like the core game. The core game, the music is so good. but the B-sides and C-sides are kind of hit or miss.
One thing that I will say, and this is kind of why we chose soundtrack as an important category, is because I feel like soundtracks are sometimes the sort of like unsung heroes of video games, but they can have such a huge impact. Like, for example, when they announced The Last of Us 2, they announced it, there was a black screen, and the first thing you heard was the... Yeah, I'm not going to do it. But you hear those few strings.
I'm going to do the Road to El Dorado.
But yeah, you heard it. You immediately knew what game it was. The audience went crazy because they were like, oh my God, it's The Last of Us. And so that's like the power that soundtracks have on video games. And they're a really important side. And I think that like aesthetics for me, they're not the most important part for me for a game. I'm much more mechanically minded. I still really appreciate a good soundtrack. So Elliott, what is your nomination for 2019 Soundtrack Game of the Year?
My 2019 Soundtrack of the Year nomination.
There's a hush over the crowd.
It's Ori and the Blind Forest.
Wait, that didn't come out this year.
That didn't come out this year.
Yeah, it did.
No, it didn't.
No,
It got to console this year, but it did not come out this year.
Ages ago. I was at uni when that came out.
Wait,
that came out so long ago.
I used the list that Platt sent into the chat.
I did, and I thought, okay, literally.
Oh my God, it came out in 2015.
I was like, I should probably tell them that this also includes when games come out to like a particular console, but then I was like, no, they'll figure it out.
I went through the list and wrote down every game I actually played because I was like, that's how the rules work.
So this is going to be an
I
interesting
don't know
ceremony.
I let you
don't
astray.
know then. I mean, I played it for the first time like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, we keep it. We'll keep it in. Let's talk about it. Why was it great? Tell me about why it was great.
It's just a really good soundtrack. It fits the mood of the. It's just really good.
Sounds good.
But no, it fits the mood of like each of the areas has like its own like own kind of like styles of music. It fits the areas really well. Fits the playstyle of the game really well. Even like when I launched it to stream and I was on the main menu. So obviously like you launch the game and then you go into slobs and you change stuff around. And I was just listening to the main menu stuff loop, and at no point was like, oh my God, I need to mute this volume. Like, so I was just like, it's a really good soundtrack.
I've done that with Kingdom Hearts. They have like Dearly Beloved on the menu, and I would literally just keep it up and listen to it. So beautiful.
But yeah, if I can't use Ori though, there's one song that I love in a game, Jedi Fallen Order. There is a scene, I won't go into too much because spoilers. There's a scene where you're like in an arena, and oh my God, the song they use for it is amazing, and it fits it perfectly. So just that one moment, not even the whole soundtrack, but that one moment.
Is it like a big epic soundtrack, or like?
It's a really cool band called Hoover, I think it is.
Oh, is it
like a Mongolian band?
Oh, The Who! I love that band.
And
they're called The Who. HU.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
but I think one of their songs is called.
I was like, you mean the really popular like 80s band though?
They're called The Who, but spelled HU.
Oh yeah, so the song they use is Yuva Yuva You.
Yeah.
And it's like this real like thumping, like almost like tribal sounding song, and you walk into this like big sand arena, and like just the music with that scene was incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. I'm using that one now. Screw you all.
So you have two answers.
No, I have one answer and one disqualified answer.
Oh, fair.
You have one answer and one answer you made up really quickly right now because you couldn't. It's no problem. Don't worry about it. So mine is a game that I feel like I haven't played enough of yet, but I feel like it was a game that immediately struck me with how good the soundtrack was, and mine is Death Stranding. The majority of the music I have heard so far in the game has been licensed, and I know that because my Death Stranding live stream got copyright claimed about 7 times. However, the music they picked was just so perfect for it. It was very, very, it was very emotional. It just fit everything perfectly. It fit the aesthetic, it fit the tone of the story so well. It was very eerie and mysterious at the beginning of the game, and every track I hear, I like this track. It fits well. And I guess it's a little bit of a cheat because it is all licensed music, but I'm kind of the same as you, Platt. There's not been a game this year that I've gone like, wow, what a soundtrack. So yeah, I think that this was the first game that made me go like, oh wow, that's really cool. I like that music.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's really cool. So I would like to probably play more of that game just because I've not had the time. But the music that I have heard from that game has all so far been absolutely fantastic. It's kind of like If I had a second choice, it'd probably be Life is Strange, but I can't count that because it's not fully out yet. But it's kind of like that. Those kind of games usually have fantastic licensed music that fits really, really well. And Death Stranding has kind of emulated that really well. So,
I really liked the music of the first Life is Strange.
Yeah,
there was something about it that like really got me.
They just picked it really well.
Like
they matched it to the tone of the episodes very, very well.
Yeah.
They did that in the second one as well, from what I've played of it. But yeah, I believe Life is Strange 2 isn't fully out yet. I think there's more to come, so I can't.
The second one?
Oh, isn't it episodic anyway? So like,
yeah,
you could do like an episode. I tried to get into Life is Strange, but I'm really. Those kinds of games, like the kind of like pick your own adventure, I always call them, because it's like, you know, like it reminds me of those books where it's like, do you want to do this?
You mean the pick your own adventure books?
They just don't hold my attention. I don't know why.
I love them,
but I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Love them. I love the Telltale games. I played The Walking Dead season 1 like 3 times, and every time I play those games, I'm like, what if I'd have picked the other one? Like, what if I'd have picked something different? And with the Telltale games,
it would be the same.
Yeah, it never made a difference. That person dies later on anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I always feel like I like, even if it's an illusion, I like the illusion of having a control over the story. And
I do too.
Yeah.
Because it does change your experience. Like people, because people always come in and go, you know, it doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, okay, well, we're all gonna die, so. Like,
yeah.
But like, I'm like, yeah, but choosing it's still a different experience.
Yeah.
From like somebody, and like, for instance, like if I chose one way and someone chose a different way, and even though the end result's the same, we're both gonna have like a different experience getting there, and you're gonna have a different like emotional like experience and stuff.
100%.
So therefore it's different. And so I always like get so mad when people are like,
it makes you think about the
it's the
consequences
illusion
of,
of choice, and I'm like, whatever.
Exactly. It makes you think about the consequences of your actions. Even if those consequences are very shallow, you still think about them more. And I know that, again, taking The Walking Dead as an example, a lot of those games made me feel real emotional attachments to the characters. So
100%.
When I made choices that ended up bad or good, it made me feel a legitimate emotional response. And I'm not going to spoil anything just in case anybody's not played them by now. But there's moments of those games where I feel like I made a choice that had a real impact, even though it might not necessarily didn't. So next category.
So the next one is best story.
Best story. I feel like
of the year.
I feel like Plat, this should be your
So I have another just honorable mention because I couldn't pick one from this year.
Okay.
I was thinking Walking Dead, like the Telltale, because the final season came out this year and I played it. That was gonna be my answer, but I hated the ending, so I couldn't.
Wow.
I couldn't. There were like the best scenes, like so, like, oh my gosh, some of the most like visceral, beautiful scenes, but I couldn't give it overall best story because I hated the ending. And it could be because of all of their, Telltale going under, the other team taking it. So I don't know, like, cause I don't know. I just didn't like it, but it was still like really, really beautiful and well done. So I guess that's an honorable mention. My other honorable mention, because I had to just pick a game that I didn't play this year, is, or I played it this year, didn't come out this year, is Inside. It came out in 2016. It's an indie game, same developers as Limbo. They did this game Inside, and it was legitimately beautiful. It was like a little haunting. And
It was a creepy game, Plat.
A little haunting. It's not bad. If I can play it, it's not bad.
I mean, like the
because I wouldn't say it's creepy or like horror scary, but it's like that's why I like the term haunting.
Yeah.
Like
the premise of that game is little leeches get into your brain and control you. But sure, whatever.
I don't like it.
You use them to your benefit, though. So
it's fine for us. Yeah, no problem.
Make the best of a bad situation. Why not?
Yeah. It was like really, and like just the way, again, since this is best story, the way they told the user like how to play the game, like the communication between the game developer and the player was like beautiful, and like the way they told this story of like you're running through this like really overgrown field and you're trying to figure out like what this world is, like what happened, like what's going on. And they don't tell you anything. Like it's just left up to your interpretation of what happens. And then like the ending happens, and I won't say it because I want people to play this game, which is why I had to talk about it, even though it didn't come out this year. The ending, like I legitimately is probably going to stay with me for the rest of my life.
So I feel like we could probably come up with a genre name for those games, because like Inside, Limbo, Little Nightmares, all these games have this really interesting, unique way of telling stories in which they tell you nothing, but they show you everything. And I feel like a common thing that storytellers get told or writers get told is show, don't tell. And I feel like these games,
writing 101.
Yeah, they exemplify this without a shadow of a doubt. They don't tell you anything, but they show you literally everything you need to know. And so what that does is it does two things. Is one, it gives you this aura of mystery, but two, it allows you to kind of make your own interpretation about what's going on. And this is why Little Nightmares hooked me so much, because I really wanted to know like what the hell was going on. So I went down the rabbit hole of like YouTube videos and theories and all this. And that's the best thing, because all these theories could be true because you have such little like concrete information. Like,
you get like little like threads that you can just like put together.
I love that. And I think Inside and Limbo did that to a degree. I think Little Nightmares did it the best for me, but I can respect that one. I can respect Inside.
I did play Little Nightmares this year as well though, so I know what you're talking about.
That
one had a really interesting ending too. I was just
that one, I mean, I can't wait for the sequel. That was one of my games of all time, to be honest, Little Nightmares. But
oh wow,
I loved it.
Impressive.
I've streamed it 3 times, I think. But yeah, Elliott.
After you kept harping on about Little Nightmares constantly, I did stream it in the end, and actually, I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's a really good game, and it reminded me of Spirited Away a little bit. Like I kept getting Spirited Away vibes from it, so that was really fun.
Little Nightmares was originally going to be called Hunger or something like that, wasn't it? It was going to be the whole game.
Oh, that
is
makes
about
sense.
Yeah, but they changed it because like Googling hunger gets you just like a lot of like cherries and stuff, so or places to eat. So they changed it. But yeah, Elliott, what is your nomination for best story?
Best story 2019.
If it's Sekiro, I'm kicking you off the podcast.
It's not. The story for Sekiro is not great. It is another Souls-like though, because it's Fallen Order.
Okay.
The story was really good. It fills in a gap in the Star Wars universe, which there's not. Obviously, you have like the whole extended universe and the comics, and there's like fan fictions and so much that Disney were like, no, we don't need any of that stuff.
Yeah, all the books are not canon.
But it's definitely the first time, like actual canon, they've looked into that period of like after Order 66. And it did a really good job of like your character, obviously, like it's a lot later than when the Order happened.
So if anybody who's not like a massive Star Wars geek, this is when
I was gonna say I don't know half the things you're talking.
So
Order 66 was when basically bad guy made a clone army. There was a secret order in the clone army where they were just all of them would get activated all at once and they just kill all the Jedi. So because they were being used as like the Jedi's, not like enforcers, but like their army. So they were helping them like keep the peace, and they were just like the muscle for the Jedi Order, basically.
So where is this in the timeline of the movies?
So it's in between the prequels and the normal ones.
Yeah. So it's between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Episode 3 and 4. Gotcha.
But yeah, so basically you have flashbacks in the game to literally when it happened, because like your character trained in a Jedi temple, and like it goes back to literally like the day that the Order went out and stuff like that. And the character progression is fantastic. There was enough like tilts and turns in characters to keep you interested, but not so many that you're just like, well, I can't trust anyone. Like, but the story was really, really good. It was set in like a really perfect time for the way that the game works, because you kind of feel super isolated because you're like one of the last Jedi running around.
Yeah.
And it was just really well done. The ending as well, I don't want to spoil
Jedi.
because the ending is amazing. If you're gonna play the game, do not find the ending. The ending was amazing.
Yeah, do not go to your YouTube channel where you literally have a spoiler reaction video of it.
If you want to see the ending because you're not going to play the game, go to my YouTube, because I literally uploaded my reaction to the end of the game, and oh my god, like just But yeah, it was really good.
That does make me excited, because I think I saw you tweet about it where you were like, that ending I thought it was you though that you're like that ending really took me by surprise.
Yeah, I think I did tweet about it,
Yeah,
and then I highlighted it from Twitch and put it up, and I was just like, oh my god, guys, just what? And also,
Yeah.
Darren, DGS2K, another streamer, has been nursing that game. It took me 17 hours to complete, and he's like 50 hours in now or something. He still hasn't finished it. I need him to finish this. Like, talk to him about the end. Darren, if you watch the podcast, finish the game.
He's obviously trying to make more content.
You won't.
He's trying to, get the most bang for his buck. Games are expensive, man. Let him make content. Jeez.
That's why I haven't played any games this year.
They are.
All of the enemies in his game just jump off cliffs. It's just constant. For some reason, his playthrough, all the enemies just jump off cliffs. I don't know how it's taken him so long.
Yikes.
That's like a constant debate of like, I want to play that game, but is it worth $60?
Yeah, it's almost like there are people out there making
wait for a deal.
YouTube content that are telling you whether it's worth spending your money on. It's almost like they would make a series called
Do
Buy
you
It or
mean-
Bin.
Yeah. Do you mean that wonderful growing critical series, Buy It or Bin?
Yeah.
Is this just going to be a whole podcast of us just plugging our other content?
It's almost like I was halfway through recording another episode, but I stopped to do this because somebody missed the podcast yesterday because they overslept. But we're not going to talk about that.
Elliott.
We're not going to talk about that.
How could I oversleep? We're in different time zones. It was like 5 in the afternoon.
It was me. I overslept.
Called out. But no, it's fine. We forgave you. You're such a great guest that we're like, we'll do it on a different
Elliott
day.
said it turned out A-okay, so
Yeah. He won't go out anyway.
he was like, I wanted to leave anyway.
Yeah, I was going out, so I was like, yeah, I'm fine with this.
But no, moving on. Yeah, I feel like
story.
I definitely want to play Star Wars. It's one of those. if I've got time, I want to play it, but I haven't got around to playing it yet. I chose Death Stranding and Pokemon over Star Wars, but it looks really good. So I have 2 nominations for best story. I had to, and one's an indie and one's a triple A. I know, it's almost like I could do whatever I want, and there's nothing you guys can do about it, is there? But
yeah,
I have another indie game and another triple A game. So, well, I say triple A,
Okay.
it's like half triple A, like double A maybe.
double A, maybe a 1A.
Yeah, maybe like just an A. So
It's just a game.
just a game.
Okay.
So my indie best story is Little Misfortune. So this one is a little very, very gameplay light game. It was basically a visual novel. It had very, very light elements of gameplay to it, but the story was so interesting and memorable, and the characters in that game. I mean, the characters were a little, I think she was like 8 years old girl, a talking fox, and a narrator that breaks the fourth wall every 5 seconds.
Yeah, I remember this game now.
Yeah, and so the way, like, the story wasn't anything sort of like spectacular. It wasn't this like massive epic story. It was just a really simple story with a few twists and turns along the way, but the way it was presented, the way it was told was really interesting because the whole story was being simultaneously told from your perspective as the playable 8-year-old girl, but also as the narrator. Now, I'm not going to give any spoilers. The narrator is a very mysterious person. You don't really know what he wants or what he's all about, but he's aware of you, the girl's aware of him, and everyone seems to be aware of you. I don't know. It's very, very complicated, but it's very, very interesting. Yeah, and I really like.
And that one's like got it's not horror, but it's like got a creepy vibe to it as well.
It definitely has a horror undertone to it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of very creepy stuff going on in that game.
Because I think I remember because that's on YouTube as well, right?
Not for me.
Your gameplay. Oh, I could have sworn it was. Maybe I think of a different game. I thought I was like watching it, and I was just like, watch this anymore.
You might be thinking of Lorelei. Lorelei was very similar, and that actually was that was a very close second to Little Misfortune, because Lorelei was fantastic as well. But I went with Little Misfortune just because it was a little bit more unique and interesting. Playing as an 8-year-old girl made everything more weird and creepy. And knowing, again, no spoilers, but knowing what's actually going on towards the end of the game made me really want to replay it and go back and look for things that I missed. So I'm probably going to give it a second replay at some point. But yeah, really, really fantastically, in my opinion, fantastic story. Some things were a little bit like obvious. Like there was a few twists that was like obvious, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I was still very engaged, and I'm still thinking about it, and I played it weeks ago, so that should tell you something. But yeah, go play it. My second one is a game that me and Elliott played, actually. My second best story is Man of Medan, which I guess is a AAA game, I guess you could call it.
It's definitely.
Yeah. So Man of Medan, if you've not heard of it, not played of it, it's made by the same people who made Until Dawn, but it's co-op. And I don't want to spoil anything just in case anyone's not played it, but it has this really unique twist to it. It has this very unique gameplay twist, and that gameplay twist really makes the story very interesting. I really don't want to spoil anything here, but it's been out for months now.
It's so hard to do it with that game as well.
Did you
so hard.
Play it online with Elliott?
I played it on stream. We both streamed it, which is why we figured out that there was more to the story.
What's going on?
Yeah. There's the story itself is pretty generic. It's just like a horror film.
Yeah.
It's like any other horror film. There's all this weird stuff going on. You're on a boat, people hunting you, weird monsters and stuff, except nothing is what it seemed. And this game simultaneously told two different stories from two different perspectives. So basically Elliott was having his story and I was having my story, and we thought we were playing together, and we were, but we kind of weren't as well. We were both being told these separately. Very similar stories, but very slightly different stories. And I think it was the most interesting mechanic, but that made the story itself very, very interesting. It took this very kind of generic horror story and made it incredibly interesting for me. And again, I would love to go back and play that and switch perspectives just so we can kind of, you know, experience the stuff that I didn't get to experience. But yeah, it was really interesting. And apparently it's a series of games. There's going to be other ones in the series. So I'm really looking forward to those. And I'm hoping that they do something similarly interesting in the future.
Yeah, it's called the Dark Anthology series?
Dark Pictures Anthology?
Yeah, Dark Pictures Anthology.
Oh, yeah. And so I'm wondering if they're ever going to, like, connect them?
I hope so.
Because,
I
like,
think they announced the next one.
Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, it looks so scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the village.
A trailer at the end
and,
of the game. Like, when you complete the game, you get the trailer for the next one as well. So, yeah, really great. Well, how did you feel about it, Elliott? Because obviously we played it together.
I enjoyed it a lot, and like where I said earlier when we were talking about Life is Strange, that those kind of games don't normally hold my attention. I had no problem with this. I think it helped that it was both of us playing.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, we were on voice comms for each other, so we were like, oh, I can like see this, and I'm looking at this, and I almost think it would be interesting to see two people play it for the first time, but don't let them communicate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we spoke about this.
Obviously, we could say like, oh, I can see this. And then you'd be like, oh, well, I see this. And then it was kind of like helping us, I think, get along.
We said this, like, you could
really
potentially
good.
go through the entire game playing it co-op and never figure that out unless you are communicating via other means. But yeah, I don't know. It was a really interesting way of telling a story. Not necessarily a very interesting story, but that's why it's on my list.
Nice.
Yeah, it did surprise me when you said it. Like, the minute you said it, I was like, actually, yeah, it was a good story. But like, for me, obviously, story is a lot of like, for me personally, even like TV shows and movies and things, I like character arcs and progression, and there wasn't really any of that in Madame. The characters are very static people.
Sure. But for me, the way, again, and we didn't have any sort of rules with this on like how are you qualifying what is your best, but for me, my like the best stories are the ones that stick with me. And you know, games like if I just out the top of my head, games that stick with me, we've got The Last of Us, Little Nightmares, Little Misfortune, Man of Medan, all of these really like for different ways. Like The Last of Us was a solid just story, like just being told as a story. This game was a sort of, it wasn't really a particularly strong story, but it was told in a very interesting way, and I really liked that. And so I that's why I decided to have it. But also I had Little Misfortune, which is kind of similar. That was a better story, but it was told also in a very interesting way. And I think we're coming to the point potentially now with video games where like kind of every story's been done, you know, like we've kind of done everything now. So when games do the same thing, but they do it interestingly, that really sort of like, you know, that really gets me going. That really, I appreciate that. And so that's why Man of Medan, and I think Man of Medan got kind of harshly critiqued this year. But that's a story for another video. So why don't we jump into the next category? What is it?
Which is, we're gonna go negative now because we have all these positive things. Okay, yeah, all these games are great.
It's the Grumpy Gaming
What was the
Awards.
Worst game of the year?
Worst game of the year. Now, this is a completely free reign. It can be any reason. It could be bad mechanics. It could be bad monetization. Whatever you want, we had completely free reign. Elliott, kick us off.
Mine is Mario Kart Tour.
What? Mario Kart
Are you
Tour?
serious?
It's
Mario
literally
Kart.
it's a mobile game. Have you heard of this?
Okay,
Yeah,
I was like,
It's not Mario Kart.
I
Mario
haven't.
Kart.
No.
So
I was gonna
yeah.
say, I was like, on the Switch.
So basically, yeah, it's just Mario Kart. Damn it.
I was like, oh my god.
So
You mean,
Plat,
like,
you haven't heard of
everyone's
this?
childhood staple? Go ahead.
Nintendo clearly looked around at everyone else and went, "Oh, everyone's making a load of money on these mobile games." So I like to think that it was just one dude who doesn't get to talk to the rest of Nintendo, and he went, "I've got a good idea, and I might just go do it." And
Yep.
they made one of the most aggressively monetized mobile games. And like, I think the reason that it sticks out because like we see so many mobile games that have these monetizations
Yeah.
is the fact that I don't expect it from Nintendo. Nintendo was
Really?
so good for making full games that
That's
they
true.
might DLC stuff, but like, yeah, you pay full price for a Nintendo game.
Yeah,
never
no,
gonna
you're
get-
right. They don't do that. Like,
Even
ever.
secondhand Nintendo games are like, if I went back to find like Let's Go Pikachu secondhand, it's still going to be 50 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they bring out full complete games, I kind of don't care about that. And then they brought out this mobile game that's not just aggressively monetized, but it's like it's pay to win.
Didn't
there
it
are certain cars
also-
that are better on certain
Didn't it
maps.
also like you can basically like auto play it where you don't even like drive, it just like drives it for you or something? Or I definitely remember something, I think it was a Jim Sterling video about them saying like as well that there's a lot of they pretend that it's real players, but it's not, it's bots, but they give them names that make them look like real players. So it'd be like, I don't know, Dave 495 2019, and it's actually just a bot. You know what I mean? Like, but it makes it like look like it's a real person.
It's just like so much of it was super scummy. And
Yeah.
like if it was EA or just the number of companies, if it was like EA or Blizzard or something like that, that you kind of expect these things from, it would have been less horrific. But the fact that it was Nintendo and I trusted Nintendo and just look at them. But yeah,
That's a fair point.
That's my worst game of the year because Nintendo, you better than
That's
this.
a really good one.
An awful mobile gambling game for children. Plat, what is your awful game of the year?
So this is wonderful. I think there's symmetry in this podcast right now because my worst game of the year is Man of Medan.
No way!
And I'll tell you why.
What? Controversial.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. Spill that tea. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So this is why. And there's a little bit of a story because for October, like all of October, I played horror games, or at least my version of horror games, which are not scary at all. It was Little Nightmares and Inside and Man of Medan. But on Halloween, so this whole month was leading toward playing Man of Medan on Halloween because I'm a big fan of Until Dawn.
Sure.
Until Dawn is literally like one of my favorite games. It's so well done.
Yeah.
It's funny, great writing. The characters are like caricatures. Like it's literally parroting horror at the same time of being a horror game. So it was like so well done. So I was really excited for Man of Medan. We get it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to play with my husband on stream. And so it was Michael and myself, and we were playing it. So we did the couch co-op version of the game. And streaming that with my buddy Sneaky O Sneaky in the chat, he was like, this game is literally so different seeing you play couch co-op versus when I played it online with a buddy. Because he played it exactly like you guys, where it was online and he was on comms and all that jazz. The couch co-op version is rubbish. Yeah. It is so bad. Yeah, because you don't get the different perspectives. Yeah, you pass the controller. So you don't get the different perspectives. You're literally just playing through it. And it felt like this whole time it was leading toward this big twist that I called out like super early on.
Yeah.
And so then there wasn't even like this, but I don't think, but now like hearing other people's stories about the game, I'm like, I don't think it was about that at all. But because of the way we played it, it felt like that was supposed to be the big reveal. Yeah. And it's not.
So we talked about this as one of the criticisms of the game. When you first boot up the game says don't play alone. And we immediately assumed that was trying to be like, oh, don't play it alone because it's so scary. But like it doesn't actually explain what they mean. What they mean is like this game is designed to be played with two different people on two different PCs. Like it's not designed for single player. And I think they added the couch co-op mode in, which is great, I guess, if that's what you're into. But
I almost feel like they shouldn't have.
I don't think they should have, like, because it's very confusing too. Because you are playing everybody, but like there's scenes where two people are in the same scene. So when you're in the couch co-op, you're one of them.
Yeah, so you're only getting
so
like
you
half the
lose
story.
all that.
Yeah.
The fact they didn't pass in a controller instead of 2 controllers is baffling to me as well.
Yeah.
That was really bizarre too, because I thought it would be split screen. Like,
yeah.
But I guess it would make sense on why they didn't do split screen. But I feel like even that would be better than passing the controller.
Yeah.
Like, and so it was like, for instance, I'll just talk about the first scene because I feel like that's not as spoilery, but it like explains what I mean. The first scene when you're on the ghost ship or whatever, and like you play like 2 different soldier guys, right? Like one person's one and one person's another. And then you see like a little kid and he's like really creepy looking. Well, you like walk into the room on the couch co-op version, you walk into the room, your friend's behind you when you walk in. But then there's like a scene that plays and your friend is like dead on the outside of the room already. And he's just oh my God, my friend. And I was like, literally, I was like, was that the guy who was with me? I don't even know. Like, who is that? Yeah. Why am I was like, was that my buddy? And Michael's like, I think so. And we were like,
Michael's just like, am I dead?
Well,
I mean, maybe like, this is where a lot of the negative reviews came from.
Play. Like, he was just your friend who was with you. And seeing other people play, like the kid goes into like a locker. That never happened in our playthrough. Like, I literally just like opened fire on the ghost kid, like in the middle of the room. Like, because I was like, it's a ghost. This isn't even going to do anything. And I fired. And sure enough, the bullets went right through him. And so like all of that, like even with your guys' playthrough, that is a completely different scene.
Yeah. I feel like this game was designed to be played one way, and if you play it that way, it's phenomenal. But if you don't play it that way, so I kind of agree with you guys. Like, why put that mode in? I guess I don't know. It's one of those games where like, why didn't they do what other game? And they have done it now finally, where you get like a friend's pass. So if you buy it, you can give your friend's pass to somebody else. They can play with you.
They just did that recently.
Yeah, they should have done that at the start, because this is one of those games where you really shouldn't play it alone. And again, if they'd have said that, and we said this, if they'd have said that in the like subtext being like, look, this game is designed to be played by co-op. It is designed this way. If you don't play it this way, your experience, your experience isn't going to be as good. Then a lot of people are doing like, oh, okay, then, well, I won't buy it. And I think this is what they were probably worried about. So they're like, well,
my favorite
just
thing
buy it and
is
not like it.
Because I would have totally set it up to be somebody to play on couch co-op if it said like play this online, or if the couch co-op mode wasn't available, I'd be like, play online with.
I mean, I'm on the Steam page at the moment for it. And it's like the Dark Pictures Anthology is a series of standalone branching cinematics, and then it's like that can also be played online with a friend. It's like, no, it is an online co-op game that you should be playing in other rooms.
Literally,
you can play single player.
It literally says when you boot it up, don't play alone. And like again, like that, it's almost like they knew.
It's scary.
That's what we said. We said like, oh, it's trying to be scary, because it wasn't really that scary, to be honest.
It wasn't. Like, I thought, well, that could have been because drinks were involved, because I was scared it was going to be scary. So we were like, drinks.
It really wasn't that scary.
I thought Until Dawn was more scary than this one.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Until Dawn. The only thing I hated about Until Dawn, and again, no spoilers, was the final sequence. Because in the entire game, you had this mechanic where you had to hold your controller still, and I never failed one. And then we got to the end, and it was just failing for no reason. But I even tested this, right? I put my controller on the desk so it wasn't moving, and it still failed. And I'm like it was broken. The mechanic was broken, because I legit didn't fail a single one of those times until that final scene, and I lost I think 2 people because of it. And I'm like,
oh no.
And so it really soured it, because I actually really enjoyed Until Dawn. I'm a big horror fan in general.
Crazy.
I even like cheesy horror films. Do you know what I mean? You streamed it.
So
I streamed it for Halloween 2 years ago and never finished it, because I played it with a load of friends. Not like couch co-op, but we did like just every now and then, like just, like someone else want to take control.
Now that game, you can do that. You can pass the controller. That adds to that game, because then you would have made a different decision, and you're just like, why the fuck do you kill that person? And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
No, I do need to go back and finish it. It does look good. But...
so that is why Man of Medan was the worst game of the year.
That's fair. That's fair. That's your experience. We had a really good experience playing it one way. You had a really bad experience playing it another way. But if the game had explained that properly, maybe you wouldn't have. So as a lesson...
I just wish in the description, like, they just said, like instead of the don't play alone, just be like, this game is better played co-op online.
Yeah.
And on the Steam page, don't have like, oh, also there's a multiplayer mode. Just be like, play this way, but we'll make it available for other ways because more options is better. We say it all the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll give you the option to do other things, but that's not the way it's intended to be played.
Exactly. And then
and
you can't
I do
really
plan on platinuming it, so that requires a lot of playthroughs. So maybe it'll be different.
I would just play it online with someone.
Yeah, play it with a friend.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
It is a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It is a lot more fun.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, are you all ready for mine? My worst game of 2019.
I'm so ready for Grumpy to be negative. Done.
I all this
He's
positivity
been
is
holding it
infecting me.
in.
It's in there. It's in the chest. My worst game of 2019 is a game that I couldn't even touch if I wanted to. Not that I wanted to, but I couldn't even touch if I wanted to. My worst game is NBA 2K19. I don't even think this game should be allowed to be called a video game. I think it should be called Gambling Simulator. And anybody who's seen any of the trailers, any of the marketing information, know what I'm talking about. They made a trailer for this game, right? And for me, a trailer is supposed to get you intrigued and excited about a game and go, oh, that looks good. I want to purchase it with my money, right?
Right.
The trailer for 2K19, NBA 2K19, was basically a full-on gambling advert. That's all it was. It was a gambling. it was a trailer for the monetization, but not only that, it was that it knew that and it didn't care. Like, they didn't show off barely any gameplay. All they showed off was all the little mini games that were literally like slot wheels, casino stuff. You had little, like, you know, where the ball drops down and it goes in, and then people being like, people being like, yay, I won, look at me, I just won out of my loot box. And in a time where more and more people are waking up to the whole, you know, like, this isn't okay, like, gambling in video games is bad for the industry, it's bad for the consumer, it's bad for children, it's bad for everybody apart from the big companies making money. In a time like that, when you would think that gaming companies would be like, maybe we should actually reevaluate that our customers aren't happy, this game went, nope, we're going all in. Literally another gambling term, but we're gonna go all in.
Well, you gotta respect that they're owning it.
No, I don't respect.
Oh, no. Okay. No,
no, I don't. I have, like, this is my thing. I have zero respect for that game because it's not a video game at this point. It literally isn't.
Right.
It's not a video game. And think about all the people who really love basketball games, who love NBA, are now being forced into basically buying a casino game or just don't buy the game. You know, and this is the way that FIFA was heading. And I think FIFA hopefully will get better considering all the pushback we've had in the last couple of years. But this is the way all these sports games are going. It's like, let's not make a good game. Because let's be fair, when NBA got released, it didn't have good reviews on the gameplay side of things. There was lots of bugs, lots of missing features. I believe it was NBA where a lot of people were saying that if you customized any of your characters, it would just break the whole game. Like, people has heads up here and stuff. So the game was developed so badly, yet all of the monetization was in there and they were flaunting it. That was the thing for me. They were flaunting it. They weren't even sort of trying to sneak it in there. They were like, nope, this is gambling and we don't care. And so for that reason, NBA, go fuck yourself. But seriously, worst game of the year. It should be deleted. It should be erased from existence.
And you have not played this game.
No, I refuse. I wouldn't play it if somebody paid me £1 million. And I'm not.
My
I'm
favorite thing with it is there were some of the stadiums and levels of stuff where they'd taken old levels and basically just rehashed them because if you get the right angle, you could see the 2K18 boards on certain places. They just layered 2K19 over stuff.
Oh, so it's Call of Duty. I was joking.
And it's just like, oh, you've just reskinned your game and filled it with gambling.
Yeah.
But not even reskinned it. They broke it.
Did you see? Because when we were at EGX, we walked past the 2K. Like there was a booth bit with like bean bags. There's people playing NBA, and I think out of the 5 screens on there, 4 of them were just sat on like slot machines and roulette spins.
Yeah,
and like one of them was playing basketball. Yeah, and I was just like,
yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's not even like, it's gone to a point of where you would have a game with gambling elements to this is just a gambling game with game elements. It's like completely flipped around. It's almost like the basketball was tacked on to the gambling. And it, again, you know, I'm sure there are people watching this video now going like, oh, I'm sick of hearing about it. But like, imagine if that was your favorite franchise. Imagine if The Last of Us 2 came out, right? And all it was literally like, you play a level and at the end of the level, well, now we're going to do ching, 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 ching. We're going to do like like some gambling and see if we get some loot boxes that might contain some ammo for your next run, you'd be so angry. And I feel
I'd
like
be pissed.
Exactly. And I feel like
I'd be so mad.
nobody cares until it hits a franchise that they love, and then all of a sudden they care. And this is what happened to me. It was Alien that got me, right? Alien, one of my favorite franchises of all time. I love the movies, even the bad ones. I still love them. When they ruined Alien, that was when I flipped and I was like, right, and now I have a problem. And I feel like everyone gets to that point, but it's like I feel so bad for the sports fans, because for me, do you know what? I can take or leave sports games. I can't remember the last time I played FIFA.
Yeah.
I really don't care. But I really feel bad for those people that love those games, because like I feel like even people that were like on board with the monetization and microtransactions in those games, even those people now are being like, it's too much. I've had enough of it. I don't want it anymore. So
have like a lot of people been outraged?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the fans and stuff.
Oh, 100%. There was a lot of pushback with NBA. Not again on multiple fronts. The game was developed really badly, so a lot of people were angry about that. Monetization was awful. A lot of people angry about that. As Elliott said, a lot of assets were reused. Not even reused, like just completely just copy pasted in.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall,
That's
I
so
think
funny.
a game that doesn't deserve to be sold, let alone even free to play. So worst game of the year. Get out of here.
Well, enough with that negativity. Let's go to the next category.
I don't know. I feel like I could have got a little bit more negativity in me, but that's fine. We'll move on.
God damn it, 2K.
This is so we have like we have literally 4 different versions of essentially game of the year. First version is the best game we finally played this year.
Yeah. So what that means is it doesn't necessarily have to be a game that was released this year, Elliott.
Yeah.
But it's the best game that we finally got around to. So we had to play it for the first time in 2019. That was the only qualifier. Yeah. So best game we finally played this year. I'm going to kick off this one because I'm going to go first.
Mixing it up.
Yeah, you know,
get to it.
Like,
all right.
It's my turn to speak. You know.
It's like your podcast or something. It's so bizarre.
I know. Yeah. Wait, Elliott, have you been to Sekiro? So my game that I finally got around to playing this year that was actually really, really good was Spider-Man, which I know only came out like last year.
Yeah.
But
it's a great game.
It's so good. Like
it's so good.
I've had it on my shelf because I bought all of those like special edition like games.
Yes. I love those.
Yeah, really nice sleeves.
They're
on the
so
case.
beautiful.
Yeah, but I just had it sat on my shelf, and I was just in the mood for a superhero game. Like I really like games where you can just like fly around cities or swing around cities or whatever. I don't know why. So I was really in the mood for one. And I was like, oh hey, I haven't played Spider-Man yet, so I just loaded it up and. I used to love the Batman Arkham games. I still do. I still love Batman Arkham games. It takes that combat and turns it up to 11. It is like so much faster paced, but so smooth and so responsive. And I was playing on the hardest mode just for a bit of challenge, and it made it like really tense. Like the combat was so good, and couple that with the story is pretty good. I mean, I've not finished it yet, but the story is pretty good. It was one of the few games in the last few years that actually made me want to go around exploring the city and picking up the collectibles, because I don't have time for that stuff anymore. But the swinging around the city was so much fun. The different costumes with the different like abilities, that was pretty cool. Combat again was sublime. Really enjoyed it. I'm kind of gutted I didn't get around to playing it last year. But even though it kind of just shows how like it doesn't really matter as a streamer, as a content creator. There's a lot of games that if you don't play them on release, you end up forgetting about and never playing again. And this is kind of a reminder that sometimes it is good to go back and look at a game that's old and still maybe play it, even if you're not going to make content out of it. Give it a go, give it a play, and I really want to find time to finish it because it was so much fun.
The story's really good.
The story's
I would definitely
so
advise
good.
finishing it.
Yeah,
like
I streamed it and I loved it. It was so good.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that game they didn't have to make a good story. Like people were gonna buy it anyway.
Sure.
Because of exactly what you're saying, like the combat and the swinging mechanics, like that's what everyone was most looking forward to was, oh, do you have the swinging mechanics from Spider-Man 2 from way back when? Like that was literally the topic of conversation. So they didn't need to have a good story. And when that first scene happens where he's looking at the notice about his rent and then hearing the like police sirens of like, and him deciding like, okay, well, what am I gonna focus on today? And he goes out the window. I was like, oh, is this gonna be like an actual story, like a really good character story.
Well, it's interesting because like Spider-Man is in a weird place where it's like Marvel's bitch. Like it's been redone so many times. You had the Tobey Maguire, then you had Andrew Garfield, now you've got Tom Holland, and it's got to the point now where people are like, we've done origin stories, we don't need that, we know the thing. But this is yet another. There was also the Into the Spider-Verse one, which is another one. There's so many, but it's interesting. Well, it's true. There's like so many versions now of Spider-Man, but it's interesting that they can make a Spider-Man game that's again completely different Spider-Man, but like still make it interesting and still make it like you want to know more.
Oh yeah,
like, it's really cool.
It was funny because he came on screen and I went #not my Spider-Man, and then as it went on, I was just like, I really fell in love with him and MJ, and like I really fell in love with the characters all over again, which is like stupid, but it was just fun because they were like just different enough that I went, oh okay. I like this version.
Familiar yet like new. Like I really, because there was a lot of like modernizations to it as well. Like I found there was a lot of where like he has like, obviously now we have the era of smartphones, and so like they add those kind of elements to it. So he's like he's a modern Spider-Man, and I like that.
The J. Jonah Jameson podcast was my favorite bit. It was so good.
Awesome. I loved those.
He's like got callers like coming in and stuff like that.
I think Spider-Man's okay. Get this collar off the.
Where did you find this guy?
Where did you find him? Your whole job is to screen calls. But like, and there was attention to detail that again they didn't need to do. Like for instance, when you're like on a call with somebody and you're swinging, they recorded the line so that way he's like doing effort, or if you're staying still, like his lines will be that he's not moving.
So they recorded like all of them twice, clearly, because it was I noticed that as well. Like he would be like, I'm just on the way, like, and it was like, it's like, really cool.
I'm gonna be there, like you know, and there was just like a and then but if you're like, all right, okay, I'm gonna, it was really really good.
Just to your mic is cutting out a little bit. Your mic is cutting out a little bit. I don't know why.
It's probably Discord then.
Possibly.
Yeah, blame Discord.
Possibly.
Did you get the DLCs? Because like obviously you bought the limited edition.
I haven't
with the DLC pass, or
well, when you say limited edition, it's a limited edition sleeve. Legit, the game is just the game.
Well, I didn't know whether they'd be like, oh, you could have the DLC with it. But
I probably will when I get around to finishing the actual game. I've got so much of a backlog that I need to finish, and working full time does not allow for that.
I've heard really good things about DLC. I don't have them, but a few people have said to me like, if you enjoy the game, because I platinumed the game, which Plat was like, oh, that's the easy platinum.
What's the easy platinum? It's like
my only platinum.
Baby Plat.
Actually, yeah. No, it's a really good platinum. It takes time.
I'm too busy playing hard games to go around platinum stuff. Plat.
Tell me more about Sekiro that you may or may not have beaten. But Elliot, what is your nomination?
I feel like mine's an obvious one because this year, for the first time, I played one of the best games.
Oh, yes!
Because this is the year that I finally played Dark Souls 1. No, I played The Last of Us.
Fuck you.
She was so excited. She knew what you were going to say, and then you said Dark Souls, and I saw a little bit of her die inside. Like, I saw it happen.
I didn't know what to do. Oh, my God, Elliot.
I played The Last of Us for the first time because I'd played it. Like, caveat, I had played about 5 minutes of the game before.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was basically like, this is an amazing game. Like on his PS3, he was like, this is an amazing game. You have to try it. And he basically just dropped me into an existing play. And I played like 5 minutes, which I think it was like a quarter of the way in or something. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening. The clickers are like super annoying because no one ever explained to me how they work or what.
Yeah.
Like, because the game obviously goes like, okay, there's going to be like some stealthy bits and like sometimes you'll be actiony, and I spawned into a game and I had a gun and I went, cool, I shoot stuff. And
that
it didn't
probably went
really...
very, very wrong, didn't it?
So after I said that I'd played like 5 minutes, it wasn't a big fan. I'd been told that like you definitely should play it, and it was on the PS Plus, like the monthly games they do, the remastered version. So I went, well, I've got no excuse not to.
Yeah, it was free. It was free for everybody.
Played it through, and it turns out that it is a fantastic game with a great story, and it's actually a really good game. Who would have thunk it? But
it is.
It's almost like there's a reason why everyone has it. They're like game of the year. And
I had to go through and check on my PlayStation trophies because I very, very nearly, because I played God of War in like December last year, and it almost ended up being God of War was my like best like old game that I caught up to.
Oh,
because for me, I enjoyed God of War a bit more just because like Last of Us mechanic stuff haven't aged brilliantly, and I understand people that love the game.
Yeah.
But like some of the stealth stuff, I wasn't a big fan of.
I'm gonna be honest, like The Last of Us is a weird one because I feel like there's legitimate criticisms about the gameplay of The Last of Us, but like a lot of people say like, oh, it's really clunky and stuff like that, but it's like it's supposed to be clunky, which is a really awkward place to critique it because it's like, well, saying something's designed badly on purpose doesn't mean it's not bad, but like the game, the aiming and everything, it's supposed to be clunky because it's supposed to be tense,
scary.
Yeah, it's supposed to be that way, and I really enjoyed the gunplay because it felt very heavy in a weird way. Like
you have to make your shots count, and like the reload is actually an issue. And
exactly. Yeah, and I love that. But
really
it also, like, I can understand why a lot of people were like, I didn't like the shooting or I didn't like the stealth. And I get it. But for me, it fit perfectly with the game. Like, the game felt dangerous. Like, even when you're being stealthy, you've got to be on alert. And even when you're shooting, like, it is a risk. Like, you have to, like, you know what I mean? Like you were saying with the clickers. Like, the clickers, if you miss that headshot, you're dead. You know, especially on the hard difficulties. And I'm like, I like that. But I also can see the why some people didn't like it, and that's a fair point.
I mean, one of my fuss is like the stealth. The enemies, like the AI gravitates to you, even if you have been completely stealthy up to that segment.
It does. They changed.
It's obviously a way. It's a way to make sure that you keep moving. But I tried it. I did the same sequence like 3 times, and I went to different places, and every time you would always end up with 2 AIs just coming. If you're like on a square cover, they would just end up going round the thing. Yeah. So there's
but then this was where you were supposed to make use of like the bricks and bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like the game like
just
I know exactly what you're saying because there was one part in the game where there are 3 corridors, and if you go down the right hand side corridors, all the enemies go that way. If you go down the left hand side corridor, they'll go that way. So there's no way you can ever avoid the enemies truly. Even if you're being very stealthy, it makes it very difficult for you. You still have to either take some out or, you know what I mean? Like it always makes it keeps the action ramping up. And again, like I like that design because there was never a point where I was like, well, I'm doing nothing because there's no enemies this way. So it always made it really tense. And again, I like that, but I can also see why if you're somebody who wants to like plan out the stealth, that can be very frustrating because you kind of can't really fully plan out the stealth because you're
I play my games like I slow play and meticulously plan routes and stuff, and Last of Us specifically stops you doing that. So I'll sit there and be like, okay, so there's a guy over there and he's like moving roughly this way, and then like by the time I've clocked all the dudes and where they're going and stuff, they're now all just stood in front of me, and I'm like, oh, I need them to be not here.
I'm so glad you played it. I'm like halfway through your playthrough.
I literally
I love playing it or watching you.
Do you still have all your VODs? And I was like, oh, there's 3 days left on them. She was like, please put them somewhere so I can watch them all, please. And I was just like, sure.
Yes, I am enjoying it so much. It was actually funny. Because my cousin is also a really, really big fan. So I was like, go watch this guy. I kind of like him. So go watch this guy's playthrough. And so he watched it and he was like, and we were talking about the differences between like if you played it by yourself and if you played it on Twitch. Because he was like, oh, he's like missing small details because he has to entertain chat, like, you know, kind of thing. And so he was like talking about that. And I'm like, yeah, for sure. I was like, but then it was funny because I was watching through and I was like, yeah, you did like miss a couple things, but they weren't like drastic. And I was like, maybe my cousin just thinks like you're not into it emotionally because you're British, and you're not showing emotion.
I'm not just screaming all the time, just yeehaw my way around.
Because like for instance, like for the first scene, you like, because spoilers, I guess it's the first scene, but like when Joel's daughter like dies, you were just like, well, shoot. This sucks. And like that's pretty much all you said, but you could tell as you kept watching your thing, you kept bringing it up that I was like, oh, this really affected Elliott.
No, I really was. I almost cried at it. I did. Like It was a
You were
real close
smiling
thing.
though,
like-
and you were just like, "This sucks."
The first time I played it, it was close, and I've played it I think about 5 or 6 times through, and I still I know when it's coming. I'm like, keep it together.
Yeah,
man.
like you
keep,
feel
I
it.
tear
Keep
up
it together.
I was
every
like,
time.
I was feeling it go, and
Every
then
time.
and then I was just like, if I say nothing, I'm just gonna cry on stream.
Yeah.
Do you know
as a grown man.
what's interesting?
So I literally was just like, but I kept like even after the scene had finished, I was going away. It's like, why would you give me a character? They let me play as her at the start,
That's
and they get
why
me invested,
they do
and
it.
then they killed. And
This
yeah,
was what I was
just like,
literally about to say, right? I've had this criticism of both games and movies for so many years now, right? And it's like the cardinal sin of making me give a shit, right? How many times do you see a film or a game and it starts off and somebody's like, "Hi, there's my wife," boom, she's dead, and you're like, am I supposed to care about this character? Like, I don't know nothing about them.
you're like,
I don't.
single life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want me to have an emotional response about a character death, you have to get me invested in that character. And one of the best ways you can
build the
do that,
relationship. Or
exactly,
whatever.
one of the best ways you can do that is let me play as that character. And I think The Last of Us did that perfectly. It allowed you to do it just long enough so you got invested in that they said mother-daughter, father-daughter like relationship, but not long enough so that it like overstayed its welcome. You know, it was perfectly timed, perfectly paced, and you got to know these characters. And when she died, it was like, oh shit. And like, if anything else, like, I feel like more of a you feel more of an emotional attachment to Joel because of it, and so that when you see him years later and you see he's this grizzled old man and he's doing bad things, you understand why, you understand his motivations, and that plays, no more spoilers for anybody who's not played it, but that plays into some of the things that happen in, like, all the way to the end of the story. It plays in so well, and that story is fantastic. I think it's possibly the best video game story ever, I'm going to be honest.
Yes.
Maybe
it's
Final
definitely
Fantasy VII, like
7 story is really good, but it's like it's very
not as
separate. It's not relatable. Like the way that, like, because it's quite fantastical, but like The Last of Us, it's like, in the event of a post-apocalyptic world, this could happen. Like, you get real invested.
It's almost like the post-apocalyptic is almost like the secondary story, and the main story is like, like Joel and Ellie's like evolution of people, which is again, this is something
like great. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Like, because the great or the escapist or whatever was like doing his of us, and he was like, because he was like, of course, joking, but he was like, you kill more humans than you do zombies.
Yeah.
And they're not zombies, by the way, they're infected. But I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. Like, because there's human encounters and there's the infected encounters, and I was like, you know what? You do kill like way more humans than infected, although you don't have to. You can sneak around a lot of them. Yeah. But I was like, that's really interesting. But it's again where it's like the only game that literally everything ties back to the story and ties back to the character.
Yeah.
And even the encounters of, it's the last of humanity. It's the last people on this earth. It's not, the real enemy isn't the infected, it's the humans, and like how awful we can be. Yeah. And how when society isn't in place, like how awful.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what I was going to say about The Walking Dead. And when Walking Dead was at its peak was when it was exploring these exact same sort of themes where like people, like humanity can be so dark. And when you have this sort of like, you have this scenario where it is dog eat dog and everybody's out for themselves, you see how morally grey things get. And I love that. I love that. Like again, if you go back to The Last of Us, like Joel is... like there's very strong arguments for that he is a villain. Like he's not the good guy, but also there's very strong arguments that he is a good guy. So there's kind of like, you know what I mean? He like,
there's moral gray area.
Yeah, I mean, they've just written really well as a human being. Like he has, he has his vices and he has his flaws, and like.
And like he does bad things for good reasons, and he does good things for bad reasons, and like that again is such a good character development. And when you come to that final scene, and you have that bit where he's looking into her eyes and he lies to her, and you go like, "You bastard!" But I understand why. It is honestly, I love that game. I cannot wait for the sequel. I hope that the sequel doesn't ruin it, but
I'm so worried.
I'm on an edge now, and it's not even out. It's not even out yet.
I've been in this constant state of anxiety about this sequel. I honestly didn't want one. I was like, I feel like I was one of the few people who was like, it was a perfect ending.
I feel like a lot of people were like that. I think a lot of people didn't want one.
Maybe it's the people I talked to then, because they're like,
yeah.
I want to know more, and I was like, why?
So here's my issue. I feel like, and I said this right, I feel like with The Last of Us 2, they've left it long enough now where like they're not just cashing in. I feel like they're making it because they had more to tell, and that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they'd have made it like a year or two after, it would have been a cash grab. But they really they clearly have something they want to get across, and I feel like from what we've seen of the trailers so far that it's going to add on to the first game and explore more avenues of Ellie, which I feel like, of her character development, which I think is great because she was very young in the first one. She's a bit older in this one. So,
14.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm already planning out my Last of Us 2 Part 2 stream. It's going to be like all of May. My whole channel is going to be...
I'm not gonna lie, I'm very tempted to just play it offline first. Just be like, this is mine.
Oh yeah.
This is my game.
Like my chat is gonna not be in my peripheral. Like it's gonna be like way far away. I'm like
YouTube,
letting people know.
I could do YouTube and then no one can like ruin it for me.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like I definitely want to stream it, but I'm like letting people know like it's not gonna be the same. Like this is going to be more akin to what you see on YouTube than what you see on Twitch, just so you know. Like, it's going to be me playing the game. I'm so excited.
I kind of love how into, like, Last of Us stuff you are. Like, you're clearly so... Because one of my favorite unforeseen, like, results of me playing Last of Us this year is... So you watching it at the moment and you just filling my Discord with, like, here's a moment you were dumb. Here's a dumb thing that you said. How did you not realize you could pick up more than one gun until chat told you? And I'm just
that was so funny.
I just like,
you were like,
stop being mean.
I didn't mean to be mean. It was funny because like you were like, oh, there's a gun there. Well, I have a gun that I have, so I'm not going to pick it up. And I went, oh, I never even thought about that. That is like a reasonable like deduction of like what was happening.
I was like, this gun. Why would I pick up that gun?
I know. I was like, this is going to be interesting because it clearly says like when you pick up, if you had like a pipe or whatever and you wanted to pick up a wood plank, it says like press triangle to swap.
Yeah.
Versus like when you pick a gun, it says, to equipped. And so I was just like, oh, that makes sense. Like how he totally thinks like because of previous things, like he'll just switch out the gun. And I was like, well, this is going to be an interesting playthrough. But then the chat was like, you can have both. And I went, dang it. Because I wanted to see you try to do it with one gun.
You were just like, how long, if chat never said anything, how long through the game would you have got before you had a second gun?
I think you would have figured it out pretty quickly.
I probably would have done it by accident and just be like, oh no, accidentally, like, oh, I get both.
Well, because you probably would have ran out of bullets and you would have picked up another gun and then you would have both.
Yeah.
So
just how long until I run out of bullets? But I mean, I spent most of that game not ever shooting because it was like, oh, have to be really sparing with our bullets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. And chat was like,
halfway through the game, people were just like, you can shoot stuff. And I was like, oh, they said be careful with the bullets.
So
they're like...
We talked about this before. The Last of Us has this really, like, interesting mechanic where the more you shoot, the more ammo drops. And it's very interesting because it's like you do absolutely, and kind of like survival horrors, you do have to be very careful about your ammunition. You can't just go willy-nilly. But if you're shooting enemies, they will drop more ammo than if you are stealth killing them. And this is something that I noticed on my second playthrough because on my first playthrough, I went in with guns, right? And on the second playthrough, I was like, right, I'm going to try and stealth it. I'm going to be like a professional killer, kind of thing. And I was like, no ammo is dropping ever. And then I started shooting and I was like, wait, now ammo is dropping. Like it's really clever how it kind of like the whole time the game is kind of helping you without you realizing it. Like there shouldn't ever be a situation where you get yourself where you can't get out of a situation. And I kind of like that. But
because it's just a chance and all that jazz. Anyway, I could talk about Last of Us forever.
I legit honestly could as well. One of my favorite games, if not my favorite game of all time. So, Plat, what is your best game you streamed this year?
Wait. The best game I finally played this year?
Yeah.
Is Celeste. I finally played Celeste this year, and it is one of my top 5 games. Like, I think, I guess top 3, because I think my top 3 of all time is Last of Us, God of War, and Celeste.
Okay.
But I have to replay God of War to make sure. But yeah, no, Celeste, like, oh my goodness. Talking about the pixel art, where we were talking about earlier, beautiful, wonderful soundtrack. And that was like another game that did not need to have a good story, and it has an amazing story. And
see, I didn't know that. I've never
Oh,
really
yeah.
played it, so I didn't know it had a really good story to it.
Highly recommend
The
it.
story is really, really good. The characters are cool because I played it as well this year.
Mhm.
I love how mad it made you.
Oh my god,
Wait,
I
you
have
did- you
some
did the-
pretty salty.
Did you
rants.
finish? Did
I
you finish
saw.
the plat for it? Because you were planning it.
No, I'm close though.
But I watched you
So-
play it, and I was just like, "Oh my god, no!" And then
Oh,
I
was
played it
so
because
mad.
I played it because I wanted like a casual, easy game between FromSoft games, and I made a mistake.
No, it's tough.
Mistakes were made.
It's tough, but it's really good. And like the whole idea, because like Celeste is the mountain, so you're climbing the mountain, and like the whole idea of the mountain could literally be in place of X in your real life, like some obstacle in your real life, like whether that's depression or just like anything that you feel like is holding you back, laziness, I don't know, whatever is holding you back, and how like you can get through this and climb the mountain. Like it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And so yeah, I finally played it. I've played all the B-sides, and now I'm on the C-sides to get the platinum.
I
They
cannot
are
imagine.
tough. But I like the C-sides more than the B-sides. I
I've
will
seen
say.
like speedruns of that game, and holy.
Yeah, that's what actually got me into it, because I saw it at SGDQ, and I always thought it
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
what I
oh yeah,
saw.
that's cute. And then I saw the speed runs, and I went, oh, that's cool. Like you can see like the mechanics,
Yeah.
and of course they didn't show any of the story during the speed run, and then the story hits, and I'm like, oh, okay, best game of the year. So
Nice. I probably should
Yeah.
play it, but I'm very much a hard platformers just don't do it for me. There was a
Yeah.
game I was playing a game today actually for a buy it or bin. I was playing Darksiders Genesis, and there's this one little section where there's like just a random jumping puzzle, and I was like, no.
I thought your what was it called, the 88, the retro 80s one that you played?
Yeah,
That one
Black-
kind of
Black
has
Future.
some form of platformers, though.
Yeah.
Like, because you're jumping to things to get
No,
up the
no, I
tower.
don't
And is it just like
mind-
climbing though?
I
Because it's
don't
not.
mind platformers in general, but I don't like very hard platformers. Like
I
you know, like
see.
Mario, where people make levels. Like that is the worst idea of a game for me. Like I don't have
Oh,
the
yeah.
patience.
That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah.
So I got to literally the last bit of Ori and the Blind Forest, and then I just went no, because they made it hard, but they made it hard in like the cheapest way possible. And the
Yeah.
last bit of it is a fire level, and it's just lava and raining fire, and the floor gets hot and it hurts you. And I just literally just went no, just not going to
No.
finish it. I was like, I'm going to go start Dark Souls because I'd actually prefer to have my head kicked in by giant annoying robots with hammers than keep trying to climb through this volcano in this dumb game. And I literally just did it. Like I was on stream and just went, no, we're not playing this game anymore. We're not doing it. I don't care. I'm never finishing this game. And I just binned it.
Fair.
I was just like, no, I'm not doing it. But,
Fair enough.
and I completed Celeste. So like, I'm not against hard platformers, but Celeste was really well done.
Yeah.
The mechanics were beautifully done. The controls were like, they were like simple, but not simple.
Yeah, because I
It was-
feel like
yeah.
it never cheats you. Like, when you miss a jump, you're like,
Ori cheats you
like, it wasn't-
constantly.
the game.
That's
No,
all
it doesn't.
does. Ori and the Blind Forest, all it does is cheat you.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was
Constantly.
like, Celeste doesn't cheat you.
No, Celeste was really well put together, and it was like calculated, but it was more about like you working out how to solve the puzzle that you've got. Whereas Ori was just like, how much can you deal with just cheesy bullshit? And apparently, not that much. So,
A
so-
Well, let's
floor
figure
is
that out
lava,
now.
and that.
You've grown.
when I can't
you've
stand on
grown
the
as a
floor, and I
person.
can't go on the walls, and I can't be in the air, and I can't be anywhere anymore, I'm like, no, I'm out.
Fair.
I'm Dragon's Den in that. I'm out.
Nope, it's a nope from me. So,
So, speaking of streaming our games, next category, best stream game of the year.
so this category means the game that we found the best to stream. Again, should have come out this year, but the game that we either found the most enjoyable to stream or the best to stream, however you want to phrase it. Elliot, kick us off.
The most fun game that I have streamed this year, and it's because I played it in the dumbest way possible, is The Outer Worlds. Because I roleplayed Bob Ross. So we made Bob Ross, and I did like a pacifist run of what would Bob Ross do throughout the whole game. And it was by
Did you do a Bob Ross for Code Vein as well?
He did,
I did Deadpool dressed as Bob Ross, but that was because we did a character creation competition, and that character looked amazing.
It did.
It was really good.
Did look pretty cool.
But no, I played the Outer Worlds. We did the character creation, and for some reason, Bob Ross is now so wholly ingrained in my Twitch channel that I have the Stardew Valley farm I have at the moment. We are literally playing as Bob Ross. Except he has a purple beard because it's when I dyed my beard purple. Outer Worlds we played as Bob Ross. Code Vein we played as Bob Ross. I've put it so that you can redeem that I will do soft-spoken ASMR reading Wikipedia pages. The other day someone redeemed it for the Bob Ross page, so I did 5 minutes of me reading Bob Ross's life from Wikipedia in soft-spoken ASMR.
That's a happy little
Bob Ross
treat.
is just my content now. I'm gonna get copyright striked.
I love it.
But yeah, so Outer Worlds was so much because games like that I normally play just like gunslingery, like walk into a room and it's just like, and then I started shooting.
Yeah.
But playing as Bob Ross, I like at the start I didn't kill anything, no animals, no bandits, no nothing. By that you can't do the not killing bandits. Eventually you have to kill bandits. So I was like, cool, we'll kill outlaws and we will not kill any NPCs. We will try and be as pacifistic. I didn't use intimidate the whole game. I just tried to be friendly to people. And chat were like so hyped for it, and it was so much fun. that is why it's my best stream game. But yeah, I don't even think it's the game's fault that it was good. It was just the dumb way that we played it made it so much fun. Right. But it is my stream game of the year.
Nice.
Woo! Also, do you call it Outworlds?
Outer Worlds. I just like outer.
I just wasn't sure if it was the accent or they literally called it something different. Okay.
I'm English. We don't pronounce half the letters and stuff. It's like French, but we're supposed to pronounce the letters.
I was just curious. I was just like, did they change the title in the UK?
Nah.
No, it's Outer Worlds.
Although it did get released like the same time as 2 other games I think had very similar names and themes. There was like Outworld and something else that came out within a month of it.
Sure, there was. I don't remember any of these games, but sure.
Okay.
That's fine. It's not like you do a gaming podcast or anything. You don't have to keep track of these things.
No, it's fine. It's not like it's mainly game news related. So, Pat, what is your best stream game of 2019?
My best stream game was, we talked about it earlier, Walking Dead. It was really, really, really fun to play with chat there because you got like both sides of people who've either played it before or people who haven't played it. So you had the people who were like, oh, well, this is what I did in my run through. So it's interesting to see something else happen and like what decisions like I made. And then you had the people who have never played it before. And so they're in with the shock with you because obviously there's twists and turns and people die and it's your fault. And so that was really, really fun. To stream, and there were, like I said, some of the most beautiful scenes in that, so it was like really visceral, and I cried on stream. I cry on stream a lot apparently, and so people like had a really fun time with it because they're just like, oh my god, I just want to give you a hug, and I'm like, I'm fine.
I always love that when it's like the tears and then you're like, I'm fine, honestly, everything's okay.
Onions. Someone's cutting onions. It's not me.
I just got something in my eye. It's sadness.
Yeah, it's remorse pie.
Sorry, I'm just checking my game actually came out this year. It did. It's fine. It did.
I know. I had to look it up too. I was like, oh, January. It came.
I'm just so glad that in Last of Us I didn't cry because I haven't cried on stream, and I hope I don't. No one wants to see a grown man cry. It's just
I do. It makes me cry.
We cry together. It's fine.
Like,
I'll get you in a Discord call. We'll just sob.
Yeah. Like, cause I watch one YouTube channel that does like reactions to shows, and they're pretty sensitive guys, and so like they'll get like these faces where they're like really teared up, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's affecting them.
You're like trying to hold it in by just like you just frown to try and hold the tears in. You're like, I'm not sad, I'm angry, so no tears.
It's so funny. It's such a joy. It's just so fun to see someone react the same way you do, like, or feel the same way you do. And I think that's why Twitch is so big, is because people go, yeah, me too. I'm not alone. And so, like I said, like even when Elliott like did his whole reaction to the first seed, I was just like, yes, feel my pain. So that is why Walking Dead, the final season.
Nice. I like those games.
Yours,
I've not
Grumpy?
played that one yet, but I like them all.
So
mine
yeah,
was a really
I would
tough
love
one.
to watch your playthrough.
I've not streamed it yet, but I'll stream it at some point.
Do it.
So mine was a really tough one because I had two. I decided on the other one. My one was going to be Mordhau, just because of how crazy fun that game was when it came out.
Mordhau is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was just so much fun. It was crazy and hectic, and nobody knew what was going on, and everyone was running around trying to murder each other, and I really enjoyed that. But however, I had to choose this one because this game I feel like is a very special game. So my best stream game this year was Devotion. So Devotion, if you haven't heard of it, because not a lot of people will have heard of it because you can't buy it anymore, was a Taiwanese horror game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was a Taiwanese horror game, and I was just super lucky that I managed to like buy it like 2 days before it got removed from Steam. But I bought it and I streamed it, and I had a bunch of Taiwanese people joined the stream. Quite a lot of them I just physically couldn't understand them because they were speaking in like, I guess, Chinese or Taiwanese characters, whatever. But a lot of people just like popped into the stream and being like, oh my god, like I'm so happy you're playing a game from my country. And it was like just a lot of like real positive love for it. The game itself was really great. I found it to be a really cool little horror game. It wasn't the best horror game ever. It had one of the best sequences in a horror game. The bit with the dolls just got me. Like I
was
screamed like
in
a
your
little
stream
girl.
for that, and it was A, terrifying, I got jumped by it too, and B, hilarious.
Yeah. Like really solidly crafted segment in that game. But overall, the game was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't very long. It wasn't particularly, spectacular, but it was really solid and really enjoyable. The story was kind of cool. But I really enjoy just learning more about another culture that I haven't really. I'll be honest. Like I know nothing about like Taiwan. I know nothing about them really. So to learn a little bit more about a new culture, and we had like laughs and jokes because there was some like funky stuff in there. Like there was a giant fish and a tiny fish tank and stuff like that. But like really, like it was really cool to learn a bit more about this culture, and people actually popping in and being like, hey, like I appreciate you playing a game from my like I don't know how big or small Taiwan is, but like you're playing a game from a country that doesn't really get many games coming from it in the mainstream media or anything like that. So it's kind of cool to shine a light on that. And I feel like taking all the politics out of it.
Yeah, they're really small.
So taking all the politics aside, it's just a real shame that game has been removed from Steam. I understand why, but I don't agree with it. But it's a shame, and I feel like I'm really glad that I got to stream it before it did get removed from sale. So that's definitely my number one stream game of 2019.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is a really good shout, because obviously like the situation around it kind of sucked, but it was a really good game, and I was in your stream for it, and the positivity coming from a lot of the people turning up for it, and also the fact that it was a really good game, good times.
Obviously an indie studio as well, so again I not to sort of favor the indies, but I do kind of appreciate what a smaller team with a smaller budget can do compared to these giant corporations that have millions and billions and still turn out NBA 2K19. But there we go. So what is the next category?
I think you just hit on it a little bit.
Is indie game of the year. So it's interesting that you didn't put it as indie game of the year. I didn't because the one that I'm picking you're probably going to be surprised by, but it's a really obvious pick for me.
It's made by Nintendo.
It's not.
Oh,
it's not.
Hey cat.
The cat surprised also. Elliott.
That was a big old meow too.
That was. Somebody wants some food, I think.
She's like across the room. Plat's cat is a loud boy.
Her like litter is in here, so I want to make sure that I wasn't keeping her from going to the bathroom. Anyway.
Yeah.
My indie game of the year.
Yes.
Now that did the cat want to put a nomination out? Like,
what was it Cat Quest 2?
Clearly.
Normally the cat's really good at meowing back when you talk to her, but she's not playing.
She's just like looking and being like, do I want to go to the bathroom right now?
She's like, now you're staring at me, I can't go.
I know. Yeah, probably Cat Quest 2 though for her.
Fair. Good shout.
But for me, mine was Cadence of Hyrule.
Oh.
A
Zelda game?
So it's a game made by, there was a game called Crypt of the Necrodancer, and the same studio basically made a Zelda themed game. They redid like so much of the Zelda music. They made the levels like look really good for, like, they kind of matched the art style, but they also made it so you can like switch characters to do different puzzles. But the way, they're basically rhythm games. They're kind of like a rhythm game roguelite. And it's like very, very individual. It's not like any other game I've really played. If you move on the beats, then you get like bonuses, and then your movement on the beats will then make the enemies move on the beats. So you have to like see ahead of where you're going. But it was like, it's beautifully put together. The Zelda soundtracks are all fantastic, and it uses them really well. I actually use the Cadence of Hyrule soundtrack for if I'm sat doing something at the PC, I'll just have it playing in the background because it's really good music, but it's like not distracting. It like you can just kind of let it go. And I was just, as indie games go, it's completely different to a lot of the other ones that I played, and I really enjoyed it.
So it's obviously a roguelike, so the enemies move when you move, but I feel like it's a really clever little twist that with a lot of old roguelikes, you would have a lot of time to sort of make your plan. But like you say with this one, I mean, I've not played it, but I've seen gameplay footage. With this one, because you have to do it on the beat, it kind of makes you speed up a little bit, I guess, and adds that extra layer of complexity.
And the beats are quick, and they speed up, so the longer you're on a level, well, Crypt and Necrodancer, the longer you're on a level, the music speeds up and speeds up and speeds up, and then at the end of the song, you just fall to the next level.
Yeah. So
like, if the level's taking you longer, it starts going like, come on, movement, go. But yeah, the Cadence of Hyrule one, like, I just loved it because the art style's really true to it. The soundtracks, the remix of the soundtracks are fantastic. Just really good game. Although another indie game I've been playing, My Time at Portia, honorable mention because.
Is that out yet? I think it's still on early access, isn't it?
No, I think it's out.
Is it out?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
No betas.
Wait, let me have a quick check. Because I've been playing that.
It was early access. I don't know if it still
Beta.
is.
I mean, it's so hard nowadays because, like... Oh, actually, the release date apparently was last year. But I don't know whether that's the release date
of early
including
access.
early access.
Yeah. Who knows? Anyway,
I didn't realize it was
it's
that
fine.
old.
Honorable mention.
But yeah, honorable mention because it's fantastic. The graphics are really good. It's really well put together. And I love the building mechanics because it's fantastic.
Cool.
But yeah,
Nice.
Looks cool.
Who's next indies? Oh, you're saving your like secret one for last.
You won't know what it is. I guarantee you won't be able to guess.
So I played a game this year called Degrees of Separation, and it's obviously an indie game. And I got it for like really cheap. It was like on sale, and so I got it, and I was like, "This looks cute." And it's all about a like a little fire girl and an ice guy, and you can either do like couch co-op or play by yourself and switch between the characters.
Oh, I saw you play
I've
this.
seen this. Yeah.
It did look really good.
It's beautiful. The puzzles were really fun to do. And then, like, to get through a level, you don't have to do all the puzzles. It was, like, optional. Like, there's some puzzles you have to get through, but, like, you don't have to do all of them. But I did. And it was such a joy. And, like, because there was, like, different worlds, and every world had a different puzzle mechanic to it. So, like, because they couldn't be together because they're fire and ice, obviously. So they couldn't be together. And so there was like a divide in the screen, and like how you moved that divide. And depending on the world, like that divide essentially did something different. Like your connection to each other of being opposites, like did something different in every world. And so that was really, really fun.
Cool.
And it was beautiful. The music was really, really good. Like I never got tired of the like changed with the mood, and then the ending was also really, really good because I was just like, oh, what do I do? and it's like I didn't want the game to end. It was one of those that, like, because it was an indie, it was pretty short. I think I streamed it over like 2 or 3 days, probably 2. And it's like, I was like, oh, I don't want it to be old.
That's a really good sign.
Highly recommended.
Want to play the game more, if you finish it.
I was like, can you give me more puzzles? Because that was really fun. And like some of them, I thought it was like the right amount of challenge. Now that's hard because it's like people think differently, but I felt like me and like the developers and I like thought the same. So it was like it was challenging, but then it wasn't outright like, I have to look this up because I have legitimately no idea. You know, when you're doing puzzles, you kind of have like a B, C, and D plan, and it's like, or you know, I'd be like, man, I'm out of ideas. Wait, like you know, after a few hours of being away from. So it was so enjoyable.
That's cool.
But it did look really good. It looks really well like utilized. It looks like they got quite a good idea that I haven't seen anyone do that with like the way the screens separate and you have to like because I remember watching you play and there was like a few things where you're like, okay, like I need this one to be in this world, this one to be in this world, and then like how can I have the line in the right place?
Be where I want it to be, yeah.
But it looked really well done.
Yeah. And that was another game that like you didn't feel like cheated in any of the like puzzle solving where you're like, well, how am I supposed to figure that out? Or like, you know, it definitely made it so that way it would let you know kind of like this idea is not going to work. Like, stop trying this. And so it was so beautiful. I love that game.
I mean, was it quite good for like letting you? Because there's one of the things I really love in puzzle games is like where there's like multiple solutions. You can kind of do it your own way because like trying is great for it. Like it would be like, yeah, we kind of want you to do this, but if you can do something completely different if that's what you want to do with it.
Right, like literally in Trine, you can only use one of the 3 characters to get through an entire level. Like especially in the beginning, like you don't even need the other people. So or you can use all of them, you know, kind of thing. So there was Trine is different where it's like literally you can solve puzzles all different ways. This one is like pretty much you have to, at least it feels that way. You have to like solve it the way they want you to solve it and figure that out. And so I really, really enjoyed it.
I do want to give it a try. Someone, it's on sale at the moment, so I might grab it.
Yeah,
Everyone get it.
After the stream.
70%.
Go support
after the video.
Go support this indie developer. I don't even know who it is. But you know what else is frustrating? Real quick, is that indie games don't have platinums, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Like they'll have trophies, but Sony will not give indie games, or at least like only some indie games, that platinum trophy where if you get all of them, you just get the platinum. Like otherwise they'll just be like, no. So like Inside doesn't have a platinum, Limbo didn't have a platinum, and Degrees of Separation didn't have a platinum.
I mean, I can understand it from like really tiny little indie games because I'm sure don't they give like those little stupid like match picture games? They get plats, so like. Because people buy those games just to get the plats. So that's why they stopped giving them to indies, I guess.
I
don't know, because they're still like those easy 20-minute, $1 like platinums. And I'm just like, why don't you give it to like actually good games? Because like, I don't know. Because it's such a selling point.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not for everyone, but it is a selling point
it's
for
almost
some
like
people.
Some people might actually like make a Twitch channel out of actually like, you know, getting plats of games. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's so weird. I don't know who would.
I don't know who'd do that. Like,
they're brilliant, whoever that person is.
Genius. You know what I mean?
See, at least like when Sony gets to choose the trophy stuff, at least that's one thing. Because like, I played Fallen Order. I bought it on Steam, which had to run through Origin. The PlayStation one has trophies, and normally Steam will basically do the same kind of trophies as the PlayStation do.
Right.
But Fallen Order on Steam doesn't have trophies because it runs through Origin, so there's no trophies for it. And I was super annoyed because it's the kind of game where the exploration and the moving around is great. And I was like, I'd love to like go through and get all the trophies. And I went onto the Steam page, couldn't find them. And then I was like, wait, I've had notifications whilst playing. So I went and checked it out, and it's like, there's only trophies on the PlayStation version. I was like, oh my god, I was real mad about it.
Yeah. Allegedly, there's like a bunch of different rules for Sony and like how trophies work and stuff like that. Like they can only have so much like playing room of like how much. Like I think it's like they only have so much like weight, and like the bronze trophies have like a different weight than the gold and silver, and so you can have like a bajillion bronze or maybe a few gold and then some bronze. Like it's really interesting. I did not realize how intricate the trophy system was, and like I don't know why they're so
seems
stingy
unnecessary
on their
for something that
plats.
literally means nothing.
Well, I mean, it was quite because I quite liked, and Platt's gonna hate this because I'm gonna use the word that gets me banned in a chat all the time. But on the Xbox,
unbelievable.
Everything was always like full achievements for the game was 1,000 score.
Right.
Yeah.
So that you couldn't have like, this game's worth like 5,000 gamer score.
Yeah.
Right.
And then obviously like DLCs like went outside of that eventually. But I quite liked it because you could look at your gamer score and be like, oh, this is the equivalent of like I've done this many games.
Yeah.
But then obviously like PlayStation has like you get number of platinums for how many games you've done it, which is quite good. But
Yeah.
So, gonna be honest, gonna be controversial. This is nothing to do with the awards, but like when Xbox first brought out achievements, I was all in. I was like, yeah, let's see how much achievement score I can get.
I
on
love
score.
them.
I love them. When I came to like buying a PlayStation 4, I was like, I'm gonna shit.
Nah.
I don't care.
That's totally
Like
fine.
if I don't get a number that I can fuel my ego with, I do not care.
Really? That's so interesting.
Yeah.
because you have like a profile level, which is to do with how many trophies you've done.
Yeah, the levels mean nothing. It's
yeah.
dumb.
I mean, I've
And,
an
like-
achievement score to be fair, but
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it's not as good as like a number.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
like,
'cause
oh, you've got this many thousand. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like let's just say level 1 is 100, and then level 200, like it gets bigger each time,
Yeah.
and you don't know what is constituting that number. Like as a PlayStation person, I don't know what is giving me that number and what's giving me these levels. So I think that's why like it doesn't matter. You don't care, and that's why you just go by the number of
'Cause
I
it's,
have
kind
like
of, like,
34
hidden
platinums or
away.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Versus,
fair.
I'm level 17. No one
Yeah.
knows what that means. Because you could still be level 17 and only have bronze trophies, for instance.
Yeah. Interesting.
I went from platting Spider-Man, where you were like, it's the easiest plat in the world, and then the next game I tried, I was like, oh, I might just go back and play God of War again because I really enjoyed it. I'll plat that. And
Yeah,
literally, when I messaged you about
It's
it, you were
another
like,
easy one.
what? I cannot beat that last Valkyrie. It's all I have to do. She an asshole. She's
She's
so
tough.
hard to beat.
Get a resurrection stone.
So going back to
Like,
the
I'm not using
actual
resurrection
gaming
stones.
awards.
Hey, look, we're at awards.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, yeah,
someone-
that's right. We're doing a podcast. Hello, everybody.
Someone
Welcome back.
hasn't said their super surprising indie awards.
Well, I'm just
Oh,
thinking
yes.
of the time. We're already at like what the usual runtime is, so we're going to be going longer today. But that's fine. That's fine.
It's
a
the
special-
awards. It's a
It is a
special
special. It's a
occasion.
once a year
Episode.
thing. Only once a
Yeah.
year. This is the first year, so we can't really say it's a once a year thing. But there we go. So
It's a one-time only.
End of the year.
end of the year is achievements for games and that. My indie game of the year is Slay the Spire because that technically
Ooh.
released
I
in
could
2019.
have guessed that.
You weren't gonna guess that.
I wasn't gonna.
We
But
should have said our guess.
You should have said your guess. Can we rewind time? It
Yes.
technically
I guess it's
released
because
this
it's Slay
year.
the Spire.
Slay the Spire.
Oh, what a crazy coincidence! You guessed the one that I had. Yeah, it technically released this year. It was in early access before that, and so I can count it. And it has definitely been the indie game that has held my attention for the longest. I have put a couple of 100 hours into it at least, and I legitimately still really enjoy it. I'll go and play it every now and again and be like, I'll just play it for an hour or two and enjoy it, and then not play it for a week. But it's really fun. It has that, like, I've never played a game that like in this genre. Like I've played deck builders before and I've played a lot of roguelites, but I've never played like a roguelite deck builder, and I love it. I love
Yeah.
the sort of combination of genres. I think it's really, really cool. I mean, honestly, I feel at this point Slay the Spire is better than Hearthstone. I'm gonna put it out
Big
there.
words.
I think it's a better game than Hearthstone.
Easy.
Like, I used to love Hearthstone, but Slay the Spire replaced that for me. Partly because I don't like Blizzard anymore. I don't know if you know that. And partly because I physically can't afford to keep up with the Hearthstone pack launches. But
Yeah.
even without
I loved
it,
Hearthstone until they just got lazy with the balancing. They were just like, we just won't balance anymore. We'll just ban all the old cards. So I
yeah,
was
we'll
like,
just
so I
ban
just
and keep
can't play
releasing new
now.
ones so no one can complain. But yeah, so I'm just kind of like, it's definitely my go-to roguelite. I thought maybe Black Future 88 would potentially overtake it, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
Slay the Spire is still my go-to roguelite. I even prefer it to Enter the Gungeon. Like, I can just pick it up anytime, play it. I even bought it for the Switch, and I'll pick it up and play it. When I went down to EGX, I was playing it on the way down. It's just a fantastic game. I think it's got some little flaws. It's a little bit rough around the edges in some areas, and it could definitely do with a little bit more content, but they're continually updating it. They've got a new character coming out soon. Cannot wait. There's mod support now, so you can try all the janky mods if you want to. And yeah, I love it. I think it's a fantastic game.
Some
If you
of the
haven't
mod
checked it out.
characters are really good.
Yeah, I played the big slime guy. He was pretty fun. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Go and check it out. My indie game of the year, and I think well deservedly so.
Nice.
So,
I've got 120 hours in it. I enjoy it a lot. I
actually,
use it
Dang.
essentially for just like if I'm watching something or if I just need a game that I can just like not really have my brain engaged, but just like throw things at things.
Yeah.
It's really good for that.
Cool. These were all good games. Good job, guys. Good picks.
It's almost like this is our job, you know.
Like all these games have been really fun.
What is the next category?
Guys, we have reached
Ooh, again.
the pinnacle moment where, like, in the Oscars, we would do like 20 commercials before the last award.
Roll
which
the
is,
ads.
We can roll an ad. You want to roll an ad?
yeah. Oh wait, this isn't Twitch.
We are now
Could roll it
sponsored
out.
by Sharpie. It's upside down, but we're still sponsored.
Oh no.
I don't have any Sharpies. I just have a pen.
So all I had in hand was a Sharpie. Oh my god, look, it's on brand. Sponsored by Sharpie. Why am I back to front? Oh yeah, I flip my camera, don't I? Never mind.
Yeah, but I see it right, so you're fine.
Okay.
It is the game of the year.
Dun, dun,
forget
dun, dun, dun,
E3,
dun.
forget IGN, forget the actual game of the year
Forget
award.
Golden
This
Globes.
is right here.
It's the Grumpy Gaming
Yeah.
Awards.
This is where you really know what the game of the year. So my game of the year, if you don't mind,
Sure, go ahead.
is Last of Us.
Shocking.
That's illegal.
It came out several years ago, and it is still the best game of the year.
We said you were exempt from the rules because you're a weirdo
Yeah,
and you
no,
don't play
I
new games.
actually, none of the games I played this year I thought constituted game of the year. So
Fair.
that was my little jokey joke. And then if you were to push back, I'd be like, okay, Last of Us Part 2. That was my other joke.
Last game is Last of Us, and she's counting it as released this year because this year was when she saw me play it.
Okay, sure. Sure.
So I just had jokey jokes, which is why I wanted to go first.
Okay, that's fine. So,
next?
Elliot, let's go on to a real
No,
topic.
you go first.
No, I want to go last. I want to be in suspense.
It's
Well,
his
but the problem
podcast.
is, when I announce my game of the year and then you ban me from the podcast, I'm gonna
I have
miss
a
what your
feeling
game
I
of
know
the year
exactly what it is.
is. You know exactly what it is.
I do know exactly what it is.
Sekiro.
Game of the year.
I can barely see it
got
because of
it.
your
I
light, but
guessed it.
sure.
Yeah, I know it's real bright. Like I don't know, man.
I see it.
Sekiro, shadows die more than twice. Why is that
Oh,
not
I
game
died
of the year?
For me, for this year was like the game that I discovered, the year that I discovered FromSoft games. And it was literally
Call
because of
them
the
Souls
podcast.
likes. They're Souls likes. God damn it.
Well, no, because all of those were FromSoft. So Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls, like they're all
Star
FromSoft.
Wars wasn't.
Star Wars wasn't, but I played it coming off of that. But like Star Wars was good, but it's not the same as a FromSoft game.
Okay.
Like it's Souls-like, but it's not FromSoft.
Sure.
But yeah, literally from the podcast episode, it was like one of the first 5 or 6, I think, where we were talking about like journalists being awful at games and be like, should there be easy modes?
That was episode 1, I'm pretty sure.
That was
that-
episode 1.
That was episode
So
1.
episode 1 of the podcast was
Yeah.
literally when
'Cause I was there.
Darren
That's
turned
how I know.
around. Darren turned around and was like, "Have you ever played one start to finish? Do it."
So literally,
since then,
more than
I've
30
never
weeks ago,
stopped.
because we've missed episodes, we've missed weeks. So like 30 weeks ago, you were talking about this
And
game.
So in the lifespan
Have you
of
beaten
this
it, by the
podcast,
way?
in the lifespan of this podcast, I've gone from I did not like FromSoft games, but I understood that they should be hard. To
Yeah.
I've now beaten 4 of them or 5 of them or something like. And
So
yeah,
then the real
Sekiro-
question is, has your point of view changed? Like, has your decision of they should only be hard and
No,
difficult?
yeah, I still think because basically my thing then was like, oh, it's part of the gimmick. My thing now is like they're not that hard. Like it's about learning patterns, and the games punish you for making mistakes.
Yeah.
They're not that difficult.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing the patterns and you understand the mechanics, they're not that hard. And like one of the things that I really enjoyed of them, and I think Sekiro has done it better than any other FromSoft game. Like the reward for learning the stuff, like the way you feel after it is so amazing. Because you start to see the patterns and there's certain counts to certain things, and they just programmed it really well. The world looks amazing, the combat's fantastic, and just I can't pick anything else because it's the best game I played this year.
You can tell you're so passionate about it. It's so sweet to see.
They're just great games.
I love
They're all great
passion.
games, but Sekiro is the best for me.
I might play it eventually.
I would definitely advise doing it. Like,
Yeah.
It has the
really
best
well done.
aesthetic.
It has the best aesthetic. It looks fantastic. I need to do another run because I haven't actually, because I did a blind playthrough, I didn't do all the bosses.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people being like, we haven't even played the whole game. And I was like, I finished it though. And the last boss kicked the snot out of me 100+ times. And I was still playing it and still enjoying it after like, what was it, 3 or 4 straight streams of just the last boss over
Just the
and
last
over
boss?
again.
And yet you say it's not difficult? That sounds really difficult.
He's hard to pick up on like his patterns and stuff, but it's like the patterns were all there, and the way to beat him, like I understood how to do it, but it was like mechanically carrying it out. But like the minute that I did it, the moment I finished that game, like the amount of hype in chat, how hyped I was like yelling at it. I was like, I'm not putting the controller down. You've got me like this before, because there was one boss where I killed it. And I like threw the controller on the desk, like, yeah, we got him. And then there was like, oh, do another prompt. And then I didn't, and I died. And I was like, what?
Oh,
celebrated
no.
too early.
So last boss, I was like, I've been burnt before. I'm holding this controller tight until I see credits roll. I was like, but no, it was just such a great experience. And the fact that I spent something stupid like 15 hours fighting the same boss over and over again and was still enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's how good the combat is.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a really high compliment for a game to be like, this is freaking difficult and it's frustrating as hell, but I still love it.
Especially
so many of those streams overran as well. I was like, I'm not ending until we've done this.
Yeah.
So especially in our field of work, like when you have so many other games you could be playing, like that is a testament, I guess. I guess to the game.
Yeah.
It's got to be up there for me. It's just got to be.
I'll give it a go eventually sometime. Probably next year when we do this again. And I'll be like, what's the game that I finally played this year? Probably Sekiro.
Sekiro. Did you beat it though?
Yeah, did you beat Sekiro? Do you guys want to guess my game of the year since you didn't guess my indie? Do you think
has it been one you've previously mentioned?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
WoW Classic?
Nope.
Oh.
Overwatch 2.
It's not out.
It's not even out yet.
This is a game that I streamed, I loved, and I genuinely think...
Well, you've only streamed like 6 times this year, so that narrows it down.
I've only stopped streaming in the last couple of months. I was streaming all the way up until then.
I know, it's a joke. God, the hackles went right up. Like...
So, my game of the year...
I'm trying to think one.
This year,
go ahead.
Tell me.
Was Resident Evil 2.
Oh, of course.
Of course it is.
Absolute game of the year. So it's I'm a bit biased because I'm a massive fan of the old Resident Evils. I love Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica. And then after that, they all kind of was a bit, they're all right. They're okay. But when I saw that Resident Evil 2 was being remade, I was like terrified but excited all at the same time. I was like, Resident Evil 2 was like one of the best ones. I'm like, why are you remaking it? And it's going to be different. I was so worried they were going to make it like Resident Evil 6 and 5, which were like really highly action games that were garbage, honestly. And so when it came out and I played it, and it was like simultaneously brand new, like completely new, with new mechanics, new graphics, and new perspective and everything like that. But also at the same time, it felt like I was going home. It felt like being back in the precinct. Well, you obviously you were, but like it felt like being somewhere that I'd already been before, but with a whole new take on it. And in a weird, like, this is gonna sound super cheesy way, like, it's weird how, like, when I was a kid and I played Resident Evil 2 when I was like a teenager, and I played that and I got through it and I played it, and then over those like many years since between the original launch and the remake, I've changed as a person and I've grown up, and so has the video game industry. And Resident Evil 2 is kind of like I don't know, it's like it fits in with that. It's like it has also grown up and changed, and in so many ways it could have gone wrong. It could have been monetized to hell. It could have been a live service. It could have been an action game, which everyone keeps saying, oh, horror games don't sell, we just want action games. Call of Duty does well. It had so many opportunities to fail, and yet it didn't. And not only did it not fail, it like spectacularly succeeded, and I guess it had a lot of obviously material to draw from, but they did it in such a way where, like, I don't know, it was just perfect. It was perfect. It was a perfect blend of old and new, and I love it, and I'm going to be playing it again soon because, like, I didn't do didn't finish Leon's B-side, but I think it just goes to show that, like, when people kick off against remakes and remasters, like, I would rather have a remake of this caliber than a brand new IP like Anthem. And I feel like that's my, like, that's my overall, like, end thought of the year is, like, if we have to go back to old games and remakes to get good games, then so goddamn be it. I'd rather that than Anthem, Fallout 76, so on, so
especially since it wasn't just, oh, here's upgraded graphics. Like, it was legitimately... I'm assuming from the ground up, like they remade it and they added new content and they made it still in the vein of the old one, but also, like you said, they grew up with the gaming industry, so they did new stuff. Yeah,
the original one was isometric view with fixed camera angles, but like pre-rendered backgrounds with a fully 3D character, tank controls as well, and this one is fully third-person 3D. Completely new. Like, a lot of the environment is the same. Like, you have rooms that are exactly the same as in the original, but it's all been changed. So, like, the actual route where, like, in the original, say you'd have to go through the room and then to the left there was a key, that key is not there anymore. There's nothing there. You have to go somewhere else. So everything's different, but
That's
like
fun.
You remember everything. You're like, oh, I've been in this room before, but now there's an enemy that never used to be in there. So everything was a fresh and was a surprise and was a shock. But at the same time, you still felt like I've been here before. Like, I remember this, and I know there's gonna be lickers soon or whatever. Like, but it still shocked you and surprised you. It was just honestly so well done, and it's made me really, really excited for Final Fantasy VII because I'm like, if Final Fantasy VII can do the same sort of thing. Like, I'm all for it. And from what I saw at EGX, it kind of seems that way. So, honestly, like, I think they did... I cannot think of anything, and this is rare for me, I cannot think of anything that I went, oh, it's a shame they didn't do that. You know, like, oh, they could have done this and it would have been better. There was, like, one little moment where I did think that one of the bosses was a bit poorly designed, like the boss fight was a bit silly, but apart from that, there was nothing that immediately struck me being like, they shouldn't have done this or they should have done that. It was just, I just enjoyed it from start to finish. So yeah, that's my game of the year. I'm really excited. They've just announced the third one. The third one's being remade. I don't know when they're remaking Dino Crisis.
Oh,
I was waiting until you said about Dino Crisis.
But yeah, they're remaking 3, so I'm happy about that because 3 was great as well. So
the artwork that they've released to announce 3 looks so good.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this before. I'm not a big Resident Evil fan. I think I played them when I was like, I played one of them when I was like a kid, and I was just like, because I don't really do horror as an adult.
I did the same thing, and it like terrified me for like a year.
But I almost think like the RE2 remake might be the way that I get into them, because it looks really good. I don't know anyone that played it that has a bad thing to say about it, and that's people who played the originals, people who are giant fans of the franchise, and people that were new to Resi with it. Yeah. Like, I know people from all 3 of those groups, and all 3, and like everyone that I've spoken to is just like, it's just a really good game.
Yeah.
That's a high compliment as well.
It also, with the difficulties, it does it really intelligently, where with the old original games, you used to have an ink ribbon to save, and that's something that like used to be survival horror staple, like, and if you didn't have it, you could, if you imagine now in 2019 not being able to save your game, but that's how it used to be. I remember nights where I'd be like so tired, but I'm like, I can't save, I need to find that next ink ribbon. And so the remake does that, but only on the hard difficulty mode. So if you're somebody who's like, nope, I'm not about that, I want to be able to save whenever I want, you play normal. If you're somebody that's like, no, I want to play it the true, like, original Resident Evil experience, I want to have ink ribbons, and if I run out, that's my own damn fault, and I can't save now, then you play the hard mode. And it's like this really, again, they've thought about everything. They've thought about old players, and they've thought about new players, and I'm going to be honest, just thinking about it now, like, it shows that they're thinking of the player first. They're thinking about the experience and the enjoyment of the game first, and everything else second. And we need more of that in 2019. We need more of that rather than let's think about the monetization and the shareholders first and the gamers second. And it's just refreshing to see that.
Make fun games.
Yeah, make fun games.
Easy.
Think about
just make good content, LOL.
I know, right? It's almost like that shit is obvious. But yeah, that is my game of the year. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was a very, very strong game. Cannot wait for the next one. Guys, do we have any honorable mentions before we wrap up? Because we are at 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Ooh, of 2019 releases.
It's a long one.
Oh, one thing I did want honorable mention, because it wasn't its own game. It was an expansion, but Monster Hunter World Iceborne is incredible. There is so much content in it. It's really well made. They brought out like a lot of the weapons either got like slightly reimagined or had new moves brought out. The new monsters are fantastic. It's just, I was already enjoying Monster Hunter World anyway, and I kind of reached a point where I'd done everything I could do, and then like Iceborne came out at just about the right time, and I was like, do I, don't I? Because I've done a lot of this game already. I've thrown so many hours in. Is the expansion going to be worth it? Watched a few streamers play it, and yeah, it just is. It's huge. It's a massive expansion, and it like they didn't just go, oh, here's a new map and here's some new monsters. Like they really did change the way the game plays. They added some stuff, they took stuff away, and it's just that would be like my honorable mention. There wasn't really a good place to put it.
Yeah.
Right.
Awards, but just like fantastic.
Yeah.
And now, for a limited time, you can play as Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn in the Iceborne.
The crossover events are so good. They did a Witcher one. They've done a Devil May Cry one. The Devil May Cry one's awesome. If you equip the like over armor, so you can make your equipped armor look like the stuff from the events. If you equip Dante's gloves, the claw grip that you get in the Iceborne expansion looks like in DMC4,
like
his arm, like the ghost arm. It looks like that, and it's so cool. It is so cool. But
cool.
Yeah, they did a really good job with it. The crossovers are all fantastic. Play as Aloy in a light bowgun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you'd muted and sneezed, but then I heard you. I was like, that was a quiet sneeze.
Yeah, no, I was like, I won't be able to mute times. We're good.
Brace yourselves. She's gonna blow.
I know. I already kind of mentioned all my mentions, so.
Yeah, I mean, I have games I could talk about, but I feel like all the ones I really wanted to have been spoken about. There's a lot of games I missed this year that I'm really gutted about, but that's just the nature of trying to do YouTube and Twitch and a full-time job. Last year I missed a lot because I didn't have any money. This time I missed a lot because I didn't have a lot of time. Isn't that just like life? But yeah, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. We have been doing the Grumpy Gaming Awards. I kind of feel like this is going to be a yearly thing. I feel like I'm probably still going to do like my own solo videos, like maybe some like top 5s or top 10s and stuff. But I feel like this was a really good format. So if you have enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below, like the video and stuff like that, because it really helps the channel out. You can help me grow by liking the video. That was really bad.
If you think Grumpy makes good content, tell the world.
I thought you were just going to go, then you're an idiot.
Then you're a dumbass.
I can't believe you come on the podcast just throw shade.
But guys, if you haven't met Plat before, Plat, tell everybody where they can find you, what you do, what you're all about.
I am a Platinum hunter on twitch.tv/PlatinumTrophyWife. And I also do a lot of art. I've been doing a lot of art. So if you like Twitch emotes.
Fantastic art. It's good art.
Pretty good
I like
art.
it.
Thank you.
All of my
and I'm definitely going to implement it like more in my streams. So you'll be saying, so there's definitely going to be like 50-50 art and platinum hunting. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter, but I don't remember the things right now, so it's fine.
Your Instagram's like complicated because it's like plat.trophy.wife or something like that.
Yeah, and then if that's true, then on Twitter is just PlatTrophyWife because of character limits. That's the one thing I didn't think about when choosing my name was character limits on other platforms. So yeah, so I got to be PlatTrophyWife.
You are. You are PlatTrophyWife.
Yeah.
That is you.
So that is me. Oh, and I'm married, so that's the wife part. Do you get it?
Get it?
It's almost like it's a really cleverly thought out name. Elliott, where can people find you when you're doing stupid being Teletubby son and stuff like that?
The stuff I do now is so just, it's getting weird, but it's fine. I enjoy it. Twitch.tv/BlindsideUK if you want to see a variety of games. Admittedly, at the moment, the variety is mostly Dark Souls, because I'm currently in Dark Souls 2. Because why not just keep playing games that make me angry?
Why not niche yourself?
Well, I found a really good balance of like, I do 3 days a week of Dark Souls and 2 days a week of like, we play Stardew or Graveyard Keeper or like My Time at Porsche I've been playing, where it gives me a nice little break of these adorable little farm games where we can like chat, listen to like chill music.
Yeah.
So that it's not always just me being like, this boss is bullshit, like constantly. But yeah, that's the place to find me there. Blindside_UK on Twitter. If you want to go over to the Twitter, it's where I post all my updates on everything. And sometimes I get drunk and sit on a bus from being drunk and just tweet at things, which is what I do a lot. That's how I use my Twitter.
Well.
Utilize it. Utilize that platform.
Do you get drunk specifically just so you can tweet on Twitter, or like?
Yeah, it's actually Twitter's getting to be the most expensive content I'm making because alcohol's quite expensive.
It's true. It's true.
Because I can't just chop vodka at home. I have to go into town so that I'm on a bus back. So thank you, First Wi-Fi, for helping me out with my Twitter access.
Amazing. Guys, if you have enjoyed this, we usually do a weekly podcast on my YouTube channel, which you are already here. So if you want more content, like subscribe and stuff, we do, well, I do, you guys do nothing. I do some game reviews, I do Let's Plays, I do live streams, and I do this podcast every week. And I also have a Twitch channel that I'm desperately trying to maintain, which is very difficult at the moment because of Christmas working hours. But if you want to follow me on twitch.tv/thegrumpybrit, I will also be making content there as often as I can. I have Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I don't have TikTok. I have all of the social medias that are relevant. You can find me on any of them as the Grumpy Brit or thegrumpybrit.tv. Either way, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.